has dignity. For the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says once again, the Muslim is the brother of another Muslim. It does not oppress him, nor abandon him, nor despise him. Sahih Muslim. When we embody this ethic, the bar becomes a reflection of the Ummah, a place where character and competence coexists. Conclusion: one faith, one duty, one legacy. Brothers and sisters in Islam, one Ummah, one bar is more than a team. It is a call to unity of purpose, to moral excellence, and to faithful service. We are custodians of both the law of man and the trust of God. Our dual identity as Muslims and as lawyers demand a higher discipline and commitment to the ideals of our deen. Let us be lawyers that strive to support one another, promote fairness and equality, and uphold the highest standards of our profession. Together, we can make a meaningful impact and create a brighter future for ourselves, our communities, and the world we live in. Let us leave a legacy that future generations of Muslim lawyers will be proud to inherit, a legacy of unity, discipline, and purposeful service. May Allah continue to bless Muslim Lawyers Association of Nigeria, strengthen our bonds, guide our leaders, and make us instruments of justice and mercy in Nigeria and beyond. Thank you very much for listening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much, Professor Yusuf Olaolu Ali, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, ably represented by Professor Mubarak Adekilekun, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Takbir. Louder, please. Takbir. Muhammad Rasulullah. Muhammad Rasulullah. Thank you very much. That keynote address is inspiring, and I hope that we'll all take lessons from it beyond this hall, and that in coming years we will implement all that Prof has delivered to us. We'll now move to the next item on our agenda, which is our first panelists discussion. And that discussion is to be chaired by the ex-president Nigerian Bar Association in person of A.B. Mahmood, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, OON. May I have the honor and privilege to invite him to kindly come forward. Takbir. Muhammad Rasulullah. Honorable Justice Binta Nyauko to use his session to coordinate the session. Thank you.
Can you hear me? Or do I need to use this? Okay, Uzubillahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. I suppose we'll have to do some improvising, given that some of our panelists are not here, just perhaps to make it more interesting. Justice Nyako is on her way. But I want to use my discretion to invite impromptu a few people to the podium, especially some of our younger colleagues who wish to share some of their thoughts and experiences in terms of the topic, mentorship. Are there any female lawyers that want to volunteer to join the panel? Anybody? We'll give priority to the female colleagues. Anyone volunteering among our young female? There is nothing to it, it's just to share your thoughts, expectations, and perhaps some experiences. Otherwise, I'm going to conscript somebody, and if I call your name, you have to come. Is somebody volunteering there? Who is that? Where is Sani Saad Buza? Okay, please come over. Is that Sani Saad Buza? Okay, please sit over there. Yeah. Yes, come over. We appreciate your courage to face this challenge, impromptu. Please sit down here. So I think we probably should be able to start. Sit down. We expect others to join us. Justice Nyako, I understand, is on her way. And Ghazali SAN is probably also on his way, I'm not sure. But let me, on behalf of all of you, welcome our panelists and express our appreciation for them being here. For the new panelists, I'm going to give you a minute or two each to introduce yourselves. So let's start with you, sir.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. My name is Sani Saad Bunza. I'm a legal practitioner by profession, a freelance journalist by vocation, and a conference speaker by passion. Thank you so much.
A conference speaker by passion.
Yes.
So we're just lucky to get it right. Okay, madam, please can you introduce yourself briefly? Write your name for me.
My name is Mrs. Fatimotu Dauda Birma from Ibrahim K. Bawa. Thank
you. So I think whilst we are waiting for Justice Nyako to join us, what I'd like to do is to ask our young panelists to maybe speak 2-3 minutes or 4 minutes about their experience as young lawyers, their expectations in terms of mentorship, and if there are any specific experiences they wish to share, which will shed light in terms of the whole journey as a young legal practitioner. Madam Sani Saad, do you want to start? So just tell us about your expectations, if there are any stories you wish to share with us in terms of mentorship, in terms of role models, or in terms of your journey in the profession has so far been. So I'll give you 2-3 minutes to do that.
Okay, thank you so much, sister. My journey so far in the legal profession has been a thorny one, though there are hopes. And particularly when it comes to mentorship, I believe relating it to the Muslim lawyers and Muslim seniors, there is a serious uh, gap. Most of the times, it is influenced by the economic situation of the country and the ability of time for the seniors to give time. These two factors have really affected the mentorship I have expected. Because when I came to the legal, when I was brought to the bar, it was okay. When I want to see a senior, you just need to see, gives you what you want. But the rigorous, he draft views files, he wouldn't have that. Only will still be that believe that okay, despite the fact that this person is under my mentorship, I need to pay him something. That entitlement that okay, fine, you need to pay somebody something is another thing that is hindering the mentorship spirit, especially when it comes to the relationship between young lawyers and senior lawyers. Another thing is the chicken and egg argument by mentors or senior lawyers that you need more than you need finances. Most young lawyers are struggling to transport themselves. The salaries they are being paid in the law firms cannot even pay for their transportation. Accommodation is there, feeding is there. If you have family, it's another ballgame entirely. So I believe these are some of the factors. And my spirit is not dampened completely, but it's about to. But I believe this conversation will ignite it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Malam Sani, for sharing those perspectives in terms of expectations. What I get from you is that sometimes there's a problem of access to senior counsel. And also there is the whole issue of the expectations in terms of benefits and in terms of welfare and finance and so on. So here you are caught in between the desire and the hunger for knowledge on the one hand, but also the frustration of lack of economic opportunities. I think that is the main theme of your experience or contribution, right? All right, let's hear from Fadima to Dr. Birma. Huh?
Thank you, sir. I've never been much of a speaker, but I just feel I should not just come and go without talking about my place of work. I mean, this is not something new. One ummah, one bar is like what my place of work represents. I have a very excellent mentor. Not just one, but all of them. I want to tell you that I joined my chambers. Anyway, I don't know. I'm not ready, but I just feel like I've been emotionally touched, and I feel that it's part of Allah's mercy that has made me join that chamber, because I just feel like this is not something new. And he has been an excellent mentor. Like now, as we speak, we have interns that come not just from law school, but also not just university, law school and all that. And they have always been cared for. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your perspective. So you are lucky to be in the farm where you are. Is that your message? And your principal is a good man.
been doing well. So it will be just not fair for me to just walk out without saying it. That's what I feel.
All right. Thank you very much, Fadima, for your sharing this experience. Now, we have one of the initially scheduled panelists in the person of Qadi Ibrahim Barkindo of the Sharia Court of Appeal, Yola. And I'll give him some time to make some contributions on this topic before we come back to our other panelists and perhaps also get the audience involved. Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim wa salatu wa ala nabi al-Karim. Building upon what was said by my two brothers, the basic expectation of new weeks is to join a law firm where skills will be transferred to them and they have reasonable support financially to sustain themselves. Reasonable. We are caught in a dilemma where most of the law firms, I think from my experience before, most of the law firms, you find juniors or the new wigs lingering, both in terms of financial poverty and poverty of skills. The exception is represented by Birma here, where her law firm takes care of junior lawyers, of interns, not only interns from the law school. You know, now there are institutions that award diploma in paralegal studies and they do go on internship. They are taken care of, meaning they are given stipends either for the purpose of transport or maybe some have accommodation. I know one of my mentees, personal. I trained a relative in my house, and I sent him, when he went for NYSC, I looked for a farm for him to start. This is the link now. Being a lawyer and being an academic, I was in the academia before joining the judiciary. I trained lawyers in my house. About 5 have become lawyers. They are all relatives of mine. Now, during the training, I mentor them, and afterwards, I try to find which law firms they go for the NYSC. He was sent to Kaduna. I connected him with one person in Abdullahi Ibrahim and Co., former Attorney General of the Federation, and instantly he was given accommodation, and there are stipends. Most of us, or each one of us here, has an experience of how he was taken by a law firm during the law school externship, or attachment as it was earlier called, and upon being called when he went as a new wig, if he went in a capacity as a legal practitioner to an institution that is engaged either in litigation or any form of legal practice. My personal experience, I did my law school attachment in Maiduguri. The head of the firm was good. He explains procedures to us. However, the court experience was very poor. I think this is one of the areas we need to correct. We are having very senior members of the bar here, sir. The court externship, I think, is structurally flawed. Instead of continuing like this, why don't we change it to maybe like clinical studies? If students go to Faculty of Medicine, 3 years pre-clinicals, at the clinical years, 3 years, they go through all the departments of a teaching hospital. Now, if you are sent to a court, I think you need some time at the open registry where cases are registered, how they are registered, what is done, what is entered. You need some weeks at the appeals. You need some weeks maybe talking immediately after the sitting, you go into the chambers with the judges, maybe you discuss with them. I did my attachment and finished. There are a few things I understood from practice actually. Sometimes students during attachment will not distinguish what H is written, hearing or motion or mention, for example. So you see the whole time spent for externship is spent in only dressing and going there without actually imbibing some skills. So also in the law firms. Now going back to the issue about taking care of the welfare of young lawyers, I think it should not be left to individual lawyers. It should be institutionalized. And I think there is a framework at the NBA, I'm not sure. There should be a framework at the NBA regarding pupillage, regarding welfare of young lawyers under your care, regarding their transport, etc. If you do not have accommodation, maybe you should not request lawyers from NYSC. You need to give them some stipends. For example, in the north here, I practice a bit in Kano. Appearance fees are either meager or not given. And maybe there's a disconnect between the junior lawyer going to the court and the appearance fees. So structurally, at MBA level, this should be done. And regarding skills transfer, just like he said, approachability of senior counsel, the ability of a young lawyer, new week, to approach seniors at the bar, either in the court or in an office. Most are open. Most are open. I have an experience. In 2001, I was 1 year at the bar. Actually, early 2002, I was handling one tenancy matter. And my colleague was serving at Diko and Mahmoud, his farm. So I went to him on a weekend in his office, and we were discussing freely. Freely. He was an SAN already, 2002. He was since 2000. I remember every word he said. I said, but there is waste in the issue. It's a tenancy. You said, which type of waste? I said, equitable waste. You know, it was one experience that we will not forget. A young lawyer of one year going to a senior advocate of Nigeria to be enlightened and be guided. So, as the keynote speech said, the duty is not individual. The duty is collective, and it is a duty. And there should be a framework where maybe you will have a pool of new weeks where senior lawyers may pick, or a pool of expertise where young lawyers may now tap in. As he is saying, there was a question, who was your mentor or who was your role model? During the universities, we will be having role models. As you go to the law school, your knowledge and experience will change. You will have other role models. And you will be a protege to some who will actually mentor you. During our time, few mentored us. Those who are in their farm, they are properly mentored. But you are posted to a law firm and you are just given a file. Go and move a motion. Or you are just given a file. Draft this affidavit. Draft this, draft that. And the head of the chambers or senior lawyers do not explain to you in detail. During my NYSC, during my law school attachment, the head of chambers explains to us. But the junior lawyers there never explained to us. Until one day, we were supposed to be 3, until one day, one of our colleagues is a lady married to a very prominent person in Maiduguri. The day she came, now they volunteered to explain the procedure. He went in as if he was taking a book. Did you see the procedure today in court? And he started explaining. Not because it was his character, but because some prominent person's wife was there. again, we need to structuralize mentorship. If there is a new week in your office, what should be done within this time frame? It is 4 weeks, if it is 4 months, or if it is 2 months, or if it is 1 year. I think this mentorship has time frame. If you employ somebody, there is a time within which he's a pupil. There is a time within which he will be standalone. In the process of mentorship, there are 4 levels. I do, you watch. I do, you help. Number 2. Number 3, you do, I help. Number 4, you do, I watch. So I think these steps should be incorporated and should be clearly written down, so that if, as a law firm, somebody is posted to you, you know the steps you follow. By the way, I've spoken much. My mentor during my early years at the bar was Alhaji Abi Mahmoud. Actually, he was Attorney General of Kano when we were students at Bayero University, Kano. I went there in '94. He used to come during our law dinners, and his law firm, Dikko and Mahmoud. When I registered my law firm in 2002, I styled it along Dikko and Mahmoud. I say Alkali and Gurin, styling it along, because he personifies integrity, seriousness, and discipline in the legal profession. You hardly find this. You hardly find this. As noted by the keynote speaker and the 2 speeches before then, you hardly find continuity and sustainability in legal practice. When Alexander Shapara Williams was registered as the first person in the role of legal practitioners, I assume, I'm not sure, I think Chief F.R.A. Williams Chambers is the same Chambers, right? I think he's the great-grandfather of Chief Williams, Alexander Shapara Williams. So Williams has his law firm. His children are senior advocates of Nigeria. Their grandchildren will be senior advocates of Nigeria. When your children come up, there is an existing law firm. There is practice with integrity. At the university and law school, you do not have fear which firm to join. I mean, there is this continuity. There is no fear. And dignity, discipline is instilled in the practice of that law firm. These are one of the things that I advocate, and as we continue, more ideas will pop up, inshallah.
Thank you very much, Adi Ibrahim Barkindo. Really very insightful views from you. I didn't know, all the things you mentioned now about you styling your farm after hours, but that's very pleasant to hear. Whilst Adi Ibrahim Barkindo was speaking, we had the welcome Justice Bintan Yako. She was actually sitting in court, expecting that the session would start at 12. And she arrived, I think, 11:55 or something like that, only to be told that the session is already started. So our apologies, my lord. Hand over to Justice Nyako. I wish to just make 1 or 2 in terms of what we have just experienced. Some panelists have not shown up. I invited some volunteer. I deliberately did that, and 2 lawyers appeared, Burma and Malami. What I want to speak about is the courage. We as young lawyers must always demonstrate courage to seize on opportunities. And ability to identify opportunities and go after it is one of the key tools for success in your career. So please, I want us to salute the courage of these 2 young lawyers. I know it's not easy. When I was much younger, you tell me to come and address. In fact, even now, when you ask me to come and address an audience, if I don't prepare, I hardly want to do it. But they were courageous enough to come over and take on this challenge. Now, courage is a key value that we need to cultivate. So thank you very much, Fatima, and thank you, Sani. The flip side of this, when my colleague here, Justice Kadi Ibrahim, was speaking, one of the organizers came to whisper to me that the young lawyer who was on the program has now arrived. He wants to join us. So I said, no, he cannot join us. Why? Discipline is another thing. I was not given any explanation as to why he was not here on time. I asked, did he give any reason? Did he send any message? Even Justice Nyako, who is a judge, sent a message that I should rise at 11:30 and will be here. Now, you are a young lawyer. You have the opportunity to participate in the panel with very distinguished senior members of the profession. You don't show up, and I'm not saying you don't have a legitimate reason. You may very well have. But courtesy demands that you should have the discipline to inform the organizers on time. So I want to use this opportunity to emphasize, and I'm here not please denigrating our colleague who didn't show up, but just to pass the point. Courage and discipline are two things which you have to imbibe in your career, very early on in points. And this incident this morning really speaks to these two issues. So before we, sorry? Yeah, so we'll come back to these themes later. But I'll now invite my Lord Justice Nyako to speak. I'm sure the organizers must have explained to you the expectation for the session. I hope they did. At the past rule, I was told, what we would like you to do is share some personal stories you want to tell, experiences over the years. I have a lot to tell. If at the end of the session there is time, I will go into some personal. So, Justice Nyako.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. First of all, I apologize for coming in late. Actually, I was not late. I was told, my legal assistant was called by somebody and said that my session was at 12. So I was waiting to leave my office at 11:45 so that I'm here in time. So I still apologize. And like the learned Silk said, one of the things that we need to imbibe as a family, because the theme here is one ummah, one bar. So it means we are a family. One of the things we need to imbibe is punctuality, integrity, respect. Now, I've emphasized respect. Respect is not necessarily that you have an elder, you are kneeling down to greet the elder, which, of course, is due to everybody around you. Because respect begets respect. If you don't respect each other, then everything is down the drain. So the young lawyer that was not allowed to join the panel did not display any, you see, the fact that he didn't come probably has a good reason. But the respect that he needed to have extended by communicating that I'm going to be late, or I'm held up in traffic, or I have an emergency, or whatever reason it is, that is respect. Okay, now to come back to the topic, one ummah, one bar, and then the sub-theme I think is pass on the torch. I'm very happy to talk about pass on the torch. Why? Because I went to a school where the motto of that school was pass on the torch. So it's when I saw it, I said, did everybody in the Muslim Ummah attend Queen's College, Lagos? Because that was our motto. And the whole idea of pass on the torch is for those who have passed through the school to mentor those who are in the school or coming out of the school. So that why? Because there is now continuity. So that your torch that you are passing on will continue to shine brightly and brightly and even brighter forever. Some of the issues that arise from this thing, as I see it, you know, we all see the same thing from different perspectives. What I see arising from some of the things arising from this topic, I will speak on the aspect of lawyers and the bar and the bench, because that's my constituency. It is very important that when lawyers have cases and their appearance is required in court, as Muslim Ummah, we need to demonstrate what Islam teaches us. Because that is very important. That is why you even have this branch of the Iba. Because you are fundamentally Muslims. You are Muslims by birth or by choice. But whatever it is that has made you a Muslim, you are a Muslim and you should imbibe the culture of Islam. Punctuality is part of Islam. Islam teaches us punctuality. That is why you have your timing for your salat. Anything outside your timing of salat, Ramwani. Your appearance, you never have a second chance to make a first impression. So the first appearance and the first whatever you exhibit is what follows you for almost a long period of your career. And don't think that you are at the, from the bar and we are from the bench. We note you over time. The first day you appear, we may not pay too much attention to you. But even at that, when you appear and you fumble, we note you. When you appear and you are very articulate, we note you. You appear and you are scruffily dressed, we note you. Now, for the female gender, you appear in court, you appear as if you are going to a party. We note you. You appear and your colorette is flying. And you've done one hairstyle. In fact, I had one girl yesterday, she had this hairstyle, all the hair was like this. And I said to her, pull your wig so that it covers the hair in front. And as much as she tried, she could not cover it. I said, see yourself. Next to her was a girl sitting down and her wig was just perched on the top of the wig that she was wearing. I said, take a bow. She had to hold the wig because it could have fallen off. You see, they have not made a good first impression. And it's going to follow unless they do something extremely different and exceptional. That is the image of them I'm going to carry forward. So first impressions are very important. As senior members of the bar and the bench, we owe a responsibility to the younger ones to mentor them. You see, I have a problem with this generation that they call Gen Z. I've always had a problem with them. Do you know them? Grandmothers here? I have some in my house. And they think they know it all. And if we didn't know it, I say it to my daughter, if we didn't know it, we would have killed you. Because we would have done it wrong. But you survived, and you are now a parent. They have answer for everything you say. So sometimes when I lay a topic in my house and they all have answer, I just keep quiet. At the end of the day, I tell them, have you finished arguing? Okay, finance the project. Of course they cannot. So you calm down. I mean, there is one song that I like. The man keeps on saying, calm down. And I don't remember the song now, but all I know is that there is calm down in the song. And that is very important. You see, you cannot be very well dressed, you cannot be very polite, and you come to court and you do not know what you are saying. So, continuing education I've never seen the person that continuing education has done any harm to. It can only do you good. Just as hard work begets more hard work. That's all. We, the senior ones, when I say the senior ones, I'm talking about those ones who are 50 and above. 50 years of age and above. I'm trying to make sure everybody is. Well, that's why we are mentoring them. All those below 50. I should say 60. Was 16 or 17. That is more than senior. Well, I've been corrected by the Qadi. 16 or 17. The Prophet of Islam lived for only 63 years. But see what he has taught the world. Can you imagine what he has taught the world? In fact, his 23 years of prophethood. So, but you see, the people around him were willing and ready to learn. If you are not willing and ready to learn, no matter what is impacted on you, you will not know it. Because you are taking it with a pinch of salt. Let this woman that is talking too much, let her finish talking, let me go my way. At the end of the day, it is you who it will catch up with. Me, I have passed that level. I'm trying to get to the 7th floor. So please, mentoring, continuing legal education. I'm sure in a lot of your chambers, you have your seniors as well working with you. You can always walk up to them, ask them questions. Imbibe the culture of discussions with your various groups, subgroups. When I was first in the Abuja division of the Federal High Court, we used to have our Tuesday afternoons. Every Tuesday at 2 o'clock, we finish sitting. Any of you who has appeared before us then, when we were sitting at the restaurant building, the one they call restaurant building at Netama, 2 o'clock, if you come there, whether your case is ongoing, we'll terminate your case, finish it, and rise. And when we rise, what do? There were 4 of us in the Abuja division then. We congregate in my chambers. Okay, I'm going to expose to you what we used to do then. I always used to have Ijebu gari. So we'll be soaking Ijebu gari and then we'll be eating. There is one fish they used to sell near the Educational Trust Fund. I don't know if they still do it now. One fish with pepper. So we'll order that fish with Ijebu gari and we are sitting and discussing and drinking. What are we discussing? Every judge that has seen something that has occurred in their courts within that week, within the week that we have passed, that is recondite, we'll table it and we'll discuss it. The judge will tell us the position they took, and then some of us may agree, some of us may see it differently. But what does it tell you? That even at that level, we are still trying to learn, and there is continuing legal education. You can never know it all. So amongst yourselves, you don't need even a senior to mentor you. You can mentor yourselves. You can mentor yourselves. And like I said, I had the senior advocate has allowed me to tell you stories. I had a ward that I had to mentor in my home, who was a Catholic. Her father was very good, a dedicated staff to my husband, and she came to study in Yola, and I had to mentor her. She was assigned to me. So every evening, then we used to have those big BCD, the one that you plug, those big ones. We've exhausted all the ones I had. So what I used to do then was I used to read the stories of the Prophet for them in Hausa, and then explain to her in English. And I told her the story of Cain and Abel. I had even forgotten that we had read that story and we had discussed it. And then she went to her church. And then she came back and told me this story first time. That their Sunday school teacher now asked, who knows the story of Cain and Abel? And everybody was a bit reluctant to tell the story. She reluctantly raised her hand, but he saw her and said she should tell them. And she told the story, and he was very impressed. And he said, oh, that's very good. Where did you learn that story from? You must have read it from the Bible. She said, no. My auntie told me the story from the Quran. And the pastor was taken aback because he did not even know that stories that were contained in the Bible are contained in the Quran. And he said, can you tell your auntie to give me a copy of the Quran in English? And she came and she told me, and I did have Quran in English, and I gave her one and she took it to him. The man, I don't know where he is now, but at the last time I met him, I think he was on the verge of converting. And I pray that Allah made it easy for him to do that. So the essence of this story is that the little that you think you know, you may think it is nothing to write home about. Maybe a sadaqah jariyah for you because you don't know who it will touch. As far as I'm concerned, it touched that young lady. Another story I'll tell you is that if you appear before judges of the Federal High Court now, especially the ones that have been there in the past maybe 10 years on the bench of the Federal High Court, you will discover that almost all of them wear skirts that are at least up to here. Mid-calf. Why? When we came into the Federal High Court bench, we met only 2 women on the bench of the Federal High Court. The Honorable Justice Ukeje and the Honorable Justice Olomojobi. And then 4 of us came in. Or was it 5? 5 of us women came in, additional. So we're the first batch of many women that joined the Federal High Court bench. And of course, I always wore my very long skirts or my jalabiyas or whatever I was wearing. And my colleagues will sit down and they are trying to pull their skirt and I'm laughing at them. I say, leave the material. That's the material you gave the tailor. It's not going to grow longer. Now you are ashamed of your legs. And gradually, they saw reason in why they should drop the length of their skirts. And they are very happy with it now. You will find that you must also teach by example. Now, this is the essence of this second story. You must teach by example. There is nothing that the Quran has not taught you. But if you don't project it, then you might, I don't want to say you have failed, but you have not done very well for yourself as a Muslim. Now, Nigeria is a secular state. We have to bear that in mind. Everybody has freedom of worship. So when I was at the state level, I was Attorney General at the state level, and there was a house in Katsina that was practically on a curve that was almost a bend. And there used to be a lot of accidents because you can't see the other side coming. And then the owner of the house went and built a mosque at his gate, which is now obstructing the traffic more. And it became a big problem. So I advised the Housing Authority and the Urban Development Board to go and ask him to demolish the house. It was a big battle. He didn't want to demolish it. They went there, they marked it X, and they gave him deadline with which they were coming to break it down. Of course, I had all the ulamas in Katsina State on my head. The first, Gladys Essien probably remembers this story. The first accusation is that, how can you put a woman in charge of Ministry of Sharia? What did you expect? Of course, she's going to do whatever she likes. So, they all started. I went and did my research. And I discovered that in Islam, in some doctrines of Islam, you should not do this Allah Ganaka. You know, that's what they call this mosque. You build your house, you put a small mosque at the corner, you think you are pleasing God. You are pleasing yourself because the sadaqah that people will pray in that house comes to you, not to God. God doesn't need it. It's you who needs it. That you cannot be building houses where you have less than 50 steps to the next mosque. And that was the argument I used. And the ulamas were surprised that I found that. And they had to, in fact, they put me in their prayer books, in their prayer point, as the church would say. So, this now story is, you must continue to learn, to read. You can never know it all. You may be confronted with a very dicey situation. But if you don't do your research, then you will be beaten hands down because of your laziness. Laziness. Hard work has never killed anybody. I have not met the person that hard work killed. If, He says it's because he's dead that I've not met him. Okay, I've not met any relative of anybody who died of hard work. Now I take correction from today. So, my dear colleagues of the MULAN, I wish to congratulate the MULAN and encourage you to do more. To be honest with you, long time ago I knew that there was a Muslim association of lawyers in Abuja, but I lost track. And then until about 2 weeks ago, when this ESCO, 2-3 weeks ago, when this ESCO came to my chambers, and I was surprised that there were so many of them and that this thing was actually happening. And my legal assistant was there, and she knew about it, but she wasn't a member. And I said to her, from that day you are a member, go and enroll yourself, because you can't be a Muslim lawyer and exempt yourself from an association like this. People like them are useful in such an association. Why did I say that? Because they also have the experience, because they sit in court with us. So they learn from what we are doing in open court, and even if they don't know that they are learning, when they are confronted with the situation, it will come up. And we must not forget that if Allah wanted everybody to be a Muslim, He would have made everybody a Muslim, because Allah has the capacity to do everything. But Allah gave people free will. He allowed people free will. So you must have respect for people of other religions. You can't say because I'm a Muslim and you're not a Muslim, you cannot do this next to me. No. You must give that person his due respect. What is due to one is due to the other. Okay, if you don't respect a Christian, what will you do to a non-believer at all, for example? I had a situation where somebody, I think she will remember, they wanted to register a shrine. Somebody came to court, they wanted to register a shrine. And the Corporate Affairs Commission didn't want to register it. And they came to my court. And I asked them, why don't you want to register it? Have they met all the conditions for registration? They say, but my lord, it's a shrine. I say, yeah, a shrine, yes, so what? If they've met the condition, go and register them. It's not your problem what they do there, as long as they are not breaking the law. So I had to put that in the order, that as long as no illegal activities or whatever are going on in that shrine, they are allowed to register their shrine. So like I said, you must give everybody their due respect. You must imbibe the culture of trying to be the best. It's only then that you can pass on the torch. When we have, we're very proud of the senior advocates that are here. They are setting the place, and a couple of years back, if I go down the list of senior advocates, I can handpick the ones that are Muslims there. I can handpick them. But now there are so many coming up, and even the women. But I have only one female SAN from the north, who after 3 months of becoming SAN, took appointment as a judge. And we have lost that SAN. Please, aspire. Aspire. You see, Islam is dynamic. And Islam is time. Zamani na Allah ne. God is time. And he moves with the time. Last week, I was at the All Nigerian Judges Conference, and I don't know if the Qadi was there. He would remember what happened. A Qadi presented a paper, and it has to do with the inheritance and some issues. And custody, yes. And an issue came up where he said, in the olden days, during the times of the Prophet, when custody goes to the woman and she moves to a place that is a day or 2 days trip from where the husband resides, on camel or horseback, then the family of the husband can take the child, because visitation will be a problem. Okay. He now says that because of dynamism of Islam and because of technology and improvements in the modern days, that if the husband lived in Abuja and the wife has moved to Kaduna, that in the days of the Prophet, they would take the child and give to the mother, because you cannot go to Kaduna in one day on camelback. But now, it takes you less than 3 hours by road, in a car, to get to Kaduna. In fact, it's because of the bad road. I remember in those days, it was an hour and a half. You can time yourself. You get to Kaduna an hour and a half from Abuja. That he does not see the need for that. And he was taking, everybody took him, the dry cleaners. Unfortunately, it was Qadis like him that took him to the dry cleaners, because they didn't agree with his analogy. And I was the only woman that was allowed to speak. Thank God it was Justice Tijani Abubakar. So he actually called me by name. Justice Nyako, do you want to say something? I said, yes. I want to say something. So I now said, he's right. Times have changed. You can move from Abuja to London in 5 hours, 6 hours. So if she moves out of Nigeria, she can get there. And that Islamic jurisprudence gives the mother the first custody, the mother's mother the second custody, the mother's, it goes down 5 generations of the mother's family before it turns back to the father. Are you trying to tell me that in all these 5 people, everybody has moved out of Abuja to London? I said, I have not seen a child that is not best brought up by their mother. So they should be dynamic in their interpretation. The Qadi's position is that if it is Quran and Sunnah, you don't have a choice. But if it is a consensus of ulama, ijma, then you have a choice. You can interpret it with the dynamism of the time. So these are things that we throw back to you. You see, in my days, we used to have Olympia typewriter. You type, the thing will go like this. Then you push it back. Then you type again. And then the big one, the big computer came off, and then now your phone is a computer. So you have the advantage of time. So please use it. Thank you very much for listening to me, and I hope I've said something that you can carry home. Thank you, and may we remain blessed.
Thank you very much, Justice Nyako, for that wonderful presentation. Various personal insight stories laced with wisdom and learning. She has emphasized the need for continuous learning, emphasized the need for discipline, for respect, mutual respect, and hard work, and illustrated some of our own personal experiences to bring these lessons out. So we're really grateful for your insights. I understand from Mrs. Nyako that she has something in writing which will be shared in due course. So I know probably running out of time, but I would like to just make a few clarifications and conceptual clarifications. First of all, in terms of the topic, passing the touch, which is the theme of this session, and mentorship. When I listened to Professor Yusuf Ali's speech, I thought it was an excellent, presentation, and has touched on all the things that really need to be touched. Before coming, my colleagues in the office had helped to prepare something which I looked at yesterday, and I was going to read it. But after listening to Professor Ali's speech, I thought there was no need for that. I would only like to use this opportunity to make some additional comments and clarifications, and maybe, if time permits, tell one or two stories myself. So the first clarification is this, in terms of the concept of mentorship. I think this has come out both in the contributions of Kadi Ibrahim and also, I believe, the MULAN chair, when they talked about structured mentorship. Now, mentorship is always deliberate, it's always structured, and it's always a conscious engagement. So when we say we want mentors, it's not just a loose arrangement in which the mentor and the mentee don't even know each other. It must always be structured. You meet with your mentor as a mentee, discuss your objectives, usually career objectives, and the mentor will guide you, perhaps with specific suggestions or advice or programs that you need to take or trainings or whatever. And occasionally you come back and review your progress with the mentor and to see how you're achieving those goals or objectives. So I would like to support that idea. We as young lawyers should always try to have structured mentorship programs with our senior colleagues, those we identify as having the requisite skills or whatever we look up to from them, and then you agree. So this will comprise in special engagements, meeting, discussions, suggestions as to your career trajectory, opportunities that may come up here and there. And sometimes mentorship is we have other training programs which we can, or engagement with our seniors, whether it is in terms of internship or in terms of just whatever it is in terms of engagement. But I would like to support the idea of us adopting the strategy of a structured, well-structured mentorship in the course of your career. Many opportunities can pass by you, and you may not recognize them, but a good mentorship program would help you to achieve or to realize those objectives and pursue those opportunities. So that is one point that I want to make. There's another issue which is role model. I think we could try all of us to have role models as young people. What is a role model? A role model is somebody you identify with certain values, certain qualities, certain skills that you want to aspire to. A role model need not be known to you in terms of person-to-person knowledge. Sometimes historical figures that have lived in some countries, or people that you've read about, or leaders you come across. But it doesn't need to be somebody that you have met one-on-one. But you have identified him as a role model because he embodies the qualities and the values that you aspire to build. So all of us can have role models, people we look up to. We read about them, we read their autobiographies or their biographies, and we try to aspire to those values and those qualities that they embody. So I think this again is a very good way to approach these sort of leadership development. Now, let me also speak to the third concept, which I want to clarify about. And these sub-themes have come out in the speech of Malam Yusuf Ali and also in some of the other contributions. When we talk about touch, passing the torch, the real question is, what kind of touch are we passing on? What kind of touch are we passing on? I want us to focus on a couple of things. As many of us have observed, even in the course of these proceedings, our society is facing their challenges. And one of these challenges, in my view, is lack of strong institutions, whether it is institutions of justice or institutions of governance, and so on and so forth. And precisely because a lot of the times we need to focus on the wrong things. So mentorship and sometimes even passing the touch is defined in the context of personal loyalties, promoting self-interest. And this is something probably that started during the military era. You talk about, you know, the aspiration of a lot of military generals is to have a stream of boys. They call our boys. Those are the people that, you know, look up to them. And it's not about value transmission. It's about creating personal loyalties. Now, passing the torch is not about creating personal loyalties. It's not about a master-servant relationship. It's a relationship based on positive values, on strong values, building institutions, on strong ethical foundations. But in Nigeria these days, a lot of the discussion around mentorship, around passing the torch, is in the context of creating an array of personal, loyal people who support you no matter what you do. So you see a lot of politicians, no matter what they do, as far as their boys are concerned, they don't do anything wrong. They can go and loot the public treasury. They can do whatever they want to do. These boys remain loyal. And they can call upon them at any time. So as a society, we must be clear. As lawyers, we must be clear. What are we passing the torch for? We're passing the torch of values, of integrity, of honesty, hard work, promotion of the rule of law, and not personal loyalties to individuals, no matter what they do. So I think this is extremely important for me, that I thought I must clarify these three issues. What is mentorship? What is structured mentorship? Role model. Passing the torch in the context of institutional development, promoting the right values, promoting the right institutions, whether it is in the justice sector, in the legal profession, or in fact at the national level. So I want us to be conscious of these issues, because as a country we cannot progress on the basis of this sort of these primordial loyalties and sentiments. We must be clear as to what kind of touch we're passing. I'm still going to give a few minutes to some of our panelists, but where is Najib Waziri? Is he here? Where is he? Come over, please. You are the young man who was late coming to the session, and I didn't allow you to speak. So I'm going to allow you an opportunity of 2 minutes to redeem yourself in front of your colleagues. Why did you come late? Why didn't you send an apology?
Mr. President, my Lord here, the chairman of the occasion, chairman of the branch, chairman of MULAN. Thank you very much for the opportunity, sir. Like I rightly discussed with the MC, Young Lawyers Forum had a program this morning as well, which is my primary constituency, so which overlaps with this. And like my Lord Justice Nyako, I was also informed it's going to be 12, my session is going to start 12. Since yesterday, I've been requesting for the program of the event, but unfortunately, I was not given one. To the glory of God, my elders and my parents here, like Justice Nyako correctly mentioned, the issue of respect, know me to be a very respectful person, sir. So, alhamdulillah, I sincerely apologize for that. there was a internal miscommunication because I had communicated to one of my handlers that I'm going to be late because of the program I had. And I was here before 12, which was communicated to me as time for the panel session. So thank you very much for the opportunity to make this clarification, sir. And thank you to the young man who had the courage to step up. Thank you, sir.
Do you have any comments on the theme itself? I'll give you another additional minute to speak to that.
Thank you. Yes, sir. When my invite went out to me and I was told to speak about the issue of mentorship, which I think when I came in, my Lord was speaking, he talked about the mentorship and Justice also talked about the mentorship. For us in the YLF Abuja branch, we have tried to create platforms for young lawyers and senior lawyers. We have tried to create a bridge, which was one of the programs I'm coming from right now. It's called the Professional Development Scheme. I believe a couple of young lawyers here are aware of it. A couple of them have attended the program. It's where we bring in senior lawyers to mentor young lawyers or train young lawyers on particular subject matters. And at the end of those sessions, those senior advocates there or resource persons or whoever it is taking us, we plead with them to take in those participants of that session as their mentees. So for us as in the YLF, we have tried to create a platform for young lawyers to have the opportunity to be mentored and for also senior lawyers to give back to the society, their profession, the young lawyers. Currently, we have a flow of about 12,000 calls this year. I think yesterday we were discussing with Senior Advocate Yakubu Philemon as well, who is taking us. A few days ago, I was in his office. I said, sir, please, we want you to give back to the young lawyers on the Professional Development Scheme. He accepted, right? He's here. So we in the Young Lawyers Forum are trying to create this opportunity to create a bridge between the young lawyers and the senior lawyers, which was the particular aspect I was asked to talk about. And to the glory of God, sir, just exactly a month ago, on the 30th of October, we had our Young Lawyers Summit, which His Excellency Babatunde Raji Fashola came. And he commended the senior lawyers that were here. He emphasized on the need of senior lawyers to give back to the society. He came here as a booster, a moral booster, so he urged his colleagues, which we're urging as well, to please keep your doors open to us. You know, there's a lot of things we can learn from you, apart from being in the profession as well, personally, in life matters as well. So we are urging our seniors here, those here present and those online, to please keep your doors open to young lawyers, because unfortunately for us, we're too many now that you can absorb all of us at the same time. Thank you very much, sir, and thank you for finding me worthy of the invitation, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Much appreciated. Okay. I know we want to aim to finish at about 1 o'clock. The next session is at 2, I believe. I want to tell a little story of my own journey. As a professional, a lot of things have impacted on my career. A lot of experiences, a lot of opportunities that came up and so on. But I want to share one story of a great man who had a big, significant impact on my career and Justice Nyako's career. I don't know how many of you know of Bola Ajibola, former Attorney General of the Federation, former President of the Bar, former Judge of the International Court of Justice. Do we remember him? Those who know him, please put up your hands. If you don't know him, please go and read about him. He died about 2 years ago. I was at his fifth hour prayer and also at an event honoring him. I think it was in 1982. I was either 82 or 83. I was a young lawyer working at the Ministry of Justice in Kano as a state counsel, as a junior state counsel. There was a major case that came up before the Kano High Court. My director of litigation called me. I was on leave. He made me return from the leave and said, AB, go and handle this case. So I said, I looked at the case. It was a very controversial case around the dispute which is still raging till today, creation of new emirates in Kano. The Rimi administration in Kano at the time had just done some major things, and it led to a lot of controversy. So the case went to court. So I was called back to come and appear in the case. I obviously knew this was a case that was much heavier than me. And I went to court the first day before Justice Dairo Mustafa, who rose to become the Chief Justice of Nigeria. He was then the Chief Judge of Kano. And at that time, the tradition was, when any major case comes up, no matter how difficult, how controversial, usually it's the Chief Judge that takes it on. He doesn't pass it on to others. So he took on this case in his court. And the first day we appeared, I walked in, the court was jam-packed. There were lots of cameramen, press crew, and this team of lawyers came from all over the country. Ajibola was at the helm of this team. He was the team lead, he was the senior counsel. And he announced his appearance along with about 40 other counsel. And I was alone, a young counsel. So I stood up and said, my lord, I appear for the defendants. And the Chief Judge looked at me and said, all alone? So I said, yes, my lord, God is with me. Luckily for me, there was a small misstep Ajibola and his team made. So I capitalized on that and got an adjournment for 2 days. And then we went back to Chambers, to the ministry, and I said to then Solicitor General that, sir, you have to come and take this your case. I can't go and face 40 lawyers. Half of them are coming from Lagos. So he said to me, look, AB, you can do it. Go and do it. So I went back the next day. This time around, I had a little reinforcement. That reinforcement was Mariam Uwais. I don't know how many of you know her. She was a state counsel working with me at the time, so she joined me, and the two of us went to court the next day. We argued the case, but the story of the case is not the story. The story is about my relationship with Ajibola. That was what started a relationship that will span until he died. And throughout the course of his life, he took interest in my career as a counsel. He made his office open to me at any time. When I go to, even when he became Attorney General, he gave instruction to his secretary, if you see this man come, don't keep him waiting here, bring him to my office. The next major move that Ajibola did for us, myself and Mrs. Nyako, Justice Nyako, there was a very senior national committee working on criminal justice reform under the chairmanship of Justice E.B. Craig. There are about 16 other members there, very senior people, professors of law, judges, Deputy Inspector General of Police, and so on and so forth. Justice Nyako and myself are the youngest on the team. We were just ordinary state counsel at the time. We worked over the course of the next 2 years on that national committee, supporting the work of the committee. And during that period, the exposure that we had to knowledge, to skills, to experience, to wisdom is immeasurable. During one of the sessions, Justice Nyako and myself took a lot of the burden, drafted the national policy, and drafted the draft legislation that was going to go to Parliament or to the government at the time. It was a big burden, but we learned so much from it. In the course of the work, I was sent to an international training program. Myself and one member of the committee who was a professor of law from the University of Ife. We went to this conference, and it was on the same issue, the same theme of victim reforms and victim rights and so on and so forth. And I had an encounter in that conference. We were broken into smaller working groups. In my own working group, it was chaired by a professor who spoke about 5 international languages. I only spoke English, except of course also my mother tongue. And there are several other participants there. And the rule was that you can speak in either French or English or Portuguese or any language of your choice. And he was the one who could translate across all the various divisions. Then we came to do our presentation. We were the only ones who came with the typed cyclo-styled paper. I don't know if those of you who remember what is cyclo-styled paper. All the others came with computers and laptops. Now, for the first time in my career, I felt inadequate. I didn't speak any other Maji language. I couldn't handle computers. I couldn't use, computers to type my work. And I really felt inadequate for the first time. When I went back to Kano, I made a decision. 1, I must speak a second international language. 2, I must learn computing. Over the course of the next 3 months, I spent endless nights learning computing, learning how to type. Now for over 30-something years now, I don't do long handwriting. Every work I do professional typing, touch typing. It was because of that single experience. Ajibola himself was a beacon of moral rectitude. On one visit to his office, a lot of things were brought out of his store. Parcels, envelopes, this and that. Do you know what they were? Gifts and presents he received as Attorney General. Anything he received, even if it's an envelope, he puts in the store. Every 3 months, they bring them out, open them. If there are things that will be auctioned, they'll auction them. The money goes to charity. He never received salary during his time as Attorney General. Every earning he made, including every gift he received, went into this pool. They auction them. He distributes them across motherless babies' homes, across MBA Secretariat receives a portion of his pay every month, and the rest of it went to charity. I nominated one of the charities. I think Binta nominated one of the charities in Kashina. So, what is the moral of this story? What brought myself and Ajibola together was professional engagement. He felt impressed by what he thought was hard work and diligence and courage, and took me on board, on his wings. Throughout his career as Attorney General, as President of the Bar, as a senior lawyer, as a Justice of the World Court, he took me along. I led a couple of my friends to visit the World Court at The Hague when he was there. He opened all the doors of the courtroom. We went to the chambers of the justices to greet them, and he introduced me and introduced my friends. At that time, he was riding a bicycle from his courtroom, his court chambers, to his house. All he needed was a bicycle. He didn't have a car at The Hague. Now, these were the giants of the profession at the time. He invited me to give the convocation lecture in his university, I think back in 2021 or something like that, at Crescent University in Abeokuta. So it was a lifetime friendship and mentorship and support by a person of integrity, of high moral rectitude, an Attorney General like no other this country has had. So the purpose of telling this story is to appeal to our seniors to really support the professional development of younger members of the profession in real terms opening opportunities, no creating cycle of influence. Ajibola has never given me a naira or a kobo throughout my relationship with him. But what he has done to me was more than just monetary support or whatever. So I'm going to stop here. I'm going to give 1 minute each to our participants. Oh, before we do that, I'll maybe take some questions, comments from the audience. Any contribution? I'm sure there are great mentors here, and there are also great young lawyers here who are aspiring to be carrying the torch in the next 50 years and passing it to others as well. So anybody wants to make any comment, any contribution? All right. The lady over there, and I come to Prof here, come to the other Prof, and I come to Your Excellency the last but not the least. So let's start with the young lady. I'm not sure whether she's young, but please, yes. Okay. Please, can you give the microphone to the lady over there?
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Idayat Holaide Akoni. I'm the Hello? Yes. Idayat Holaide Akoni. I'm the Director of Magistrate for High Court of FCT here. What I just want to say is not, I'm not here to ask a question, but just to give advice to our young lawyers. I want to share in some of the experiences that is while on the bench. In about 20 decades on the lower bench, what I noticed is that I rarely see our Muslim brothers or sisters, more in the lower courts. We know that the magistrate court is the lower court in the country, and anybody that wants to really learn a lot must first start from the beginning before it gets to the end. So it's a word of encouragement to them. I want them to keep pushing, walk into the courts, have that confidence and believe that you can do it. The young one, I want to advise them that there is no any swag in rascality or being an illiterate. Actually, the ultimate swag is in your intelligence. Some of the SCN that we are seeing here today, like the learned Silk that just spoke now, talk about where he started from. Rome is not built in a day. The Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is reported to have also said that we should seek for knowledge as far as China. Then China was a very far place. Even up till today, to travel to China, it takes a lot of hours, even by air. So it's an advice to them. Don't shy away from your responsibility. Keep learning and learn and learn and learn a lot. As a lawyer, we can't stop learning. We must continue to learn every day. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Prophet, brief as much as possible.
Thank you very much, Chairman, for the opportunity. Although I'm not a legal practitioner, but having come from the management sciences, well, as being a student of business administration, I think I can contribute something to the topic of discussion, i.e. issues of mentoring and the need for senior professionals to pass the torch to the young minds and the upcoming professionals in order for them to grow in the discipline or profession. One thing that I believe is very important as far as mentoring is concerned, and also what would ensure the growth of the young minds, is for the senior professionals to create opportunities for learning and exposure. I think the chairman has illustrated some of the issues in the story he gave us vis-a-vis his relationship Prince and Boy. That I think is something good, which I hope the senior members of the bar and bench would be able to emulate. Secondly is the issue of coaching, monitoring, and coaching, mentoring, especially has been well established. Issue of sponsorship is important for senior sponsoring with the money of the church. They are young ones to attend very important sessions for capacity building training in order to. Three is the encouraging creative thinking and problem-solving based initiative. It is important to always encourage the younger ones to be creative, to bring up new initiatives, to think outside the box. And that is only possible if they are encouraged to uphold the principles of creative thinking and problem-solving futures. Then last but one is the issue of giving constructive and actionable feedback. There are instances where we see professionals not minding to give actionable feedback on either reports or submissions or ideas presented to them by the young generation or young professionals. It's always important to remember to give constructive feedback. Lastly is the issue of encouraging the younger ones to pursue continuous learning. It's important for the professionals, senior professionals, to always encourage the younger ones on the need for continuous learning. This is important as it would go a long way in ensuring their growth and development. And then Her Lordship, the Justice, had made an important remark, a really gathering to discuss before maybe the end of this program. And that is the issue she brought about a paper presented by one Qadi. I think what is important for the legal practitioners is to remember always that in Islam and texts of the Quran and Sunnah are broadly categorized into two. There are texts whose applications are sacrosanct. They don't change. And they are called al-thawabit. They don't change. They are not elastic. They are not flexible. They must be applied the way they are, irrespective of location, time, period, geography, and people. But there are many other texts that are elastic when it comes to their application, and they are called al-mutagayyirat. This, I think, is the bottom line, which I believe legal practitioners may wish to discuss further with a view to coming up with solutions to some of the issues. Thank you very much once again for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity once again, sir. The issue of mentorship is very, very important, especially these days. I've been a lecturer in the University of Ilorin for almost 2 decades. And as a matter of fact, I know I've taught almost about 5,000 students. But you notice that even in class, most of these students, when you are teaching them, their minds will not be the lecturer that is teaching them. Recently, I was at the NJC. We went for a trial. I won't mention the name of one of our former president of the NBA. He came in. So as he was coming in, I stood up to greet him. Another lawyer that came with me stood up also. One of our coppers, not though in my office, she was just sitting down. The former president now came deliberately to her and said, "Come, my name, let me mention his name. My name is Paul Usoro. I'm a legal practitioner. I'm a senior advocate." The lady was just looking at him up and saying, "Okay, my name is so." He now asked, "Where did you finish from? Where are you from?" The lady apparently didn't even get where the man was going. So it was immediately he left. I had to shout and say, "You are very stupid. You stand up and see, there are most of these things." A few weeks ago, I was traveling to Makurdi with some of my lawyers in the car. I told them that, "Come, let's have something to discuss." You know what they asked me? Say, sir, what do you know about Senator Neds and what's the name of this, his wife that are? So please, let us look for another very reasonable discussion that can better or that can lead to the advancement of our legal profession. None of them was able to. What they felt, you know, they were at home with was to discuss social media issues. Talking about Davido, talking about Wizkid, you know, legal issues that would, you know, better their cause. These days, they find it very difficult. Another important thing I want to talk about is most of these young lawyers, because we are not really actually playing our roles as mentors. As at yesterday, I had about 3 or 4 of our former students looking for a job everywhere in Lagos. I was just directing them, go to Victoria Island, say, I've gone to 3 offices, I dropped my CV. What did they say? They said I should go. When they are ready, they will. So whoever among us has those space for them to be taught or to be mentored, we should please try to do it. Because it is akin to an ungovernable space. Most of them now, what they call their leaders are not us any longer. The people they discuss about are those people in the social media that I've mentioned, because of the fact that they don't really have mentors. So I think it is also upon us as leaders, as much as practicable, let us try to take them. I know some of them will be talking about money. You can't compare the days of the Alliance 6 out there with the current situation right now. Lawyers want to get money for them to be able to earn a living. I always advise students that if you are a lawyer, you know that most lawyers don't pay really well. But you should not only rely on your salary. From when you are in the university, I could remember people in my community will call me, even when I was in 2 or 3 level, to ask me for national issues. But most of our students in school now, you see them in the university, they don't even appear like lawyers to their colleagues, even who are not members of that faculty. In such a way that if they want to have discussions on national issues, that they are supposed to call you as a lawyer, as a barrister. What do you know about this issue of, they don't know it. So once your living is only on the salary you earn, it will be a problem. As a young lawyer, you should at least have maybe 1 or 2 agreements that you'll be doing to support your living. Thank you so much for...
Thank you very much, Prof, for that intervention. Your Excellency.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mine is young lawyers here. I know opportunities for mentoring abound. Quite apart from the scheme by the Nigerian Bar Association, in recent times, the body of benchers has set up a mentoring committee, a structured mentoring committee with reporting procedures, etc. So it is left to the young lawyers now to take advantage of all these opportunities. The one for the body of benchers I know of, because the committee charged with that responsibility reports periodically to the body at the meeting of the body of benchers. So young lawyers can find out of the body of benchers how to get engaged in the scheme. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for that information. There's a very good mentoring scheme or program being run by the Body of Benchers. So go to the Body of Benchers website or go to the Secretariat and get some information and try to see how you can key in. I understand we have some Muslim law students from University of Abuja in the hall. Is that so? Can you raise up your hands? Muslim, okay. You're welcome, and I hope you're finding the program useful. Does any of you have any comments, contributions to make, or questions to ask? Anybody from the University of Abuja? Yes, the young man raising his hand. Please come forward. Introduce yourself quickly and make your comment or question.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Okay.
I'm Muhammad Faldin from the University of Abuja, a 300 level law student. I want to sincerely appreciate the learned silk. Sincerely, I would say I've been transformed following the lecture you gave, and I really appreciate you. Similarly, your lordships, we appreciate you. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much for that. There's a gentleman here. Yes, the one in the light brown kaftan. Quickly, I think we'll wrap up the session now. Please introduce yourself, and you have 1 minute to make your comments or ask your question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Vincent Adodo. I'm not a Muslim, but I take it fit to attend this program. Resonating with the topic or the theme of the program, one Umar, one Bar. I understand Umar means community. I have this question to ask, and I want to launch on the statement of my Lord regarding respect and tolerance for other religions. I have noticed, and I'm sure many of us Nigerians have as well, that in some states in the north, we have this application of Sharia law. You know, and I remember one of the issues that arose sometime this year about the reordering of the educational calendar, you know, to ensure that Muslims have the opportunity to stay at home during fasting, during the Ramadan fasting. But at that particular point in time, that the Ramadan fasting holidays were ordered, it was somehow, it reordered the school calendar. So basically what I'm asking, sir, is this. How do we, as Muslim lawyers, ensure that the application of Islam or Islamic principles, having in mind the fact that Nigeria is a secular state, does not infringe on the fundamental right to religious freedom of other members of the society, especially those living in Muslim states? Thank you, sir.
I often hear this comment that Nigeria is a secular state, and my Lord did make allude to make similar statement. I didn't want to openly disagree with my Lord, but I'm not sure that the word secular is used in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I know the Constitution says Nigeria shall not adopt state religion, and in Section 10. Now, whether that translates to secularism or not is a different question or different discussion. But the point I think you are making is freedom of religion and freedom of association, and also making sure that the rights of citizens are protected. I think that's the main theme of your question. And under the law, every citizen is protected under the Nigerian Constitution, and there's no differentiation on the basis of faith, on the basis of creed or nationality or whatever. So I think that is the basic premise. Now, in the complexity of a federal system such as ours, there's always the possibility of conflict of laws or conflict of the application of laws, depending on who interprets the laws. And that is something which we will continue to navigate as a country in the hope that we would find the appropriate balance in whatever part of the country you live. But the fundamental position of the Constitution is the protection of the rights of all citizens, regardless of faith and regardless of creed. And that is the position of the law. And where in certain states these laws are interpreted in a manner that conflicts with this, probably that is a question that we need to look at closely to ensure equal protection for all citizens. Does Nyakodio to add anything to this?
Well, I think I can, particularly because he mentioned about school closing down during the month of Ramadan. I think it started from my home state, Katsina State, last year. Well, I have nothing to say about that because I was not consulted. I did not know the reasoning behind it, but that was what happened. But I'm sure when they were doing that, they must have taken into consideration alternatives to the education of the students. Katsina State is not 100% Muslim. It also has a Christian population, and it also has a population of non-believers. You'll be surprised to know that, but they do exist in Katsina. So for the government to have taken that decision, I do not know the considerations behind it. But I'm sure they also want their children to go to school, so they must have made alternative arrangements which will not affect everybody, Muslim, Christian, non-believer, all together. On the issue of respect, I said earlier, respect begets respect. Even if it is your animal in the house. I have 6 cats in my house, but there's a particular one that's particularly attached to me. So when he comes near me, the others like, lay back, this animal kingdom. So the same thing applies to humans. The more you respect each other, the more you live in harmony.
We'll come back to that. So I'm going to try to wrap up the session the next 5 minutes, and I will call on our panelists, each to spend a minute to give us any closing thoughts. Shall we start with my good friend, Malam Sani? Do you have any comments? 1 minute? Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. In synopsis, my remark will be more of appeal to the seniors. I believe what my learned honorable professor said is attendant consequence of lack of mentorship, where he said she was sitting down, she wasn't mentored, she wouldn't have gotten all those knowledge from, but had it been she had a mentor, she would have known, okay, this should be, but because Leonard's prof had mentors who told him this is the culture, this is the tradition that when seniors come, you should stand up. So I believe that's one. Then secondly, please, Leonard seniors, make your offices available to us even if you don't pay us. Some of us are capable to do some of these things, but lack of space to transport yourself to town, you start hanging around in some of these courts, it doesn't speak well of a lawyer. So please, even if you won't pay young lawyers, make the office and the resources in the office accessible to young lawyers, even if you won't pay. Then another thing is, give us tax and believe in us. Some hardly, because you just come out from law school, they'll be feeling jittery to give you a motion to move. We learned from the court. I believe the first day I moved my motion, everybody laughed in the court. Everybody, even the judge was like, when were you called to? I told him I was called just 3 months ago. So I believe, give us tax and believe in us. Also, another thing is, if the terms of our employment should include, if a salary has not reached a certain threshold, I believe this should be a policy. If law firms are employing and the salary has not reached a certain threshold, young lawyers will be allowed to explore other opportunities. But you work in a law firm where your salary is 70,000 or 80,000, and you will not be allowed to do any other thing aside from office work. And that 80,000 cannot do anything for you. So I want to plead with our seniors, if you really want to pass the torch to us, you wouldn't lose anything if I go out to do something for my own self to gain. You wouldn't lose anything. Then finally, I would like to implore MULAN, just like the MBA has been doing, MULAN should establish a structured or a committee on mentorship that will be, look at, we have students here that once lawyers are called to the bar, I believe with structured mentorship, their first port of call should be, okay, I don't have any place to go, but I know MULAN can attach me to 1 or 2 senior lawyers that can assist me. Thank you so much.
Thank you for those closing thoughts. Fatima, do you have any closing thoughts?
Thank you very much. I just want to add that it's an appeal that law research materials should be made available to young lawyers because they are just starting. And also there should be free access to those, like there should be up-to-date law reports in the libraries and other research materials like Law Pavilion available. And also I want to make an appeal also for women. I mean, we are the engine of change in the home and as well as in the society. So time should be made available for women lawyers to cater for the family as well as for the profession. Thank you very much for the opportunity given to me. I appreciate. Thank you. Thank you.
That's a very important comment. Making accommodating women and any needs in terms of their dual responsibilities, homemakers, child rearers, and so on, and also meeting their professional responsibilities. This is a topic for another day, but I'm sure that the comment is well taken. So thank you, Fatima. My Lord.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We all know that legal profession is a craft. It's not just learned. That is why the law school is a vocational training. And initially it was on an apprenticeship style in England. You have the Inns of Court. Therefore, we should not expect that a person will just conduct a shabby study and he's called a lawyer and he sustains his practice shabbily and then expects that he will excel and grounded in law. You should not forget that you must be grounded in knowledge and you must abide by ethics. Being grounded in knowledge means that when you did your LLB courses, the courses were not, your study was not built on handouts, but textbooks. If you studied law of contract via a handout, you must remedy it now. Apart from SAGE, you must read some courses like contract taught. You must read textbooks written by British people, by English people. There are standard textbooks like jurisprudence. You can't rely on some books written 200-300 pages. If you do not read Peyton, Lloyd of Hampstead, etc., you will never understand jurisprudence. You see now, I left university just 3 years ago. I know the quality of students we have. At one point, I asked one student a question in a class. He said, waiting. I said, waiting in ABU? You are a disgrace to education. You are a disgrace to Ahmadu Bello. Going to Ahmadu Bello University, in a university, in a class, you tell me waiting. And one student wrote an answer to me. I asked him, discuss English law as a source of law in Nigeria. He said, English law is law brought white man Ingila. Ingila, E-N-G-L-I-R, L-E-R. Of course he was withdrawn. Of course he was withdrawn. But the magic centers, the public schools, sorry about the state, do produce students with A's, but there is nothing. And they are the same people who navigate through the universities and are called to bar and still navigate through the bar. In a profession like the legal profession, which is apprenticeship, you must attach yourself to somebody. It is wrong for you just to open your law firm the next day you are called to bar. You need somebody to put you through. And the best place is the Ministry of Justice. Lana Silk and my lord all went through the Ministry of Justice, their career progression. You'll be assigned a file, you'll be taught, you know how it moves, you know how to minute on it. You know, if you go to court, you come back, you report, they guide you. The libraries are standard. You have all sorts of books. Some of us read LLB and still practice. They have never seen or never opened Halsbury's Laws of England or Corpus Juris Secundum. Some have never read a case law from beginning to end. Some do not open the statutes to read them. How can you be lawyers? Let truth be told. You cannot be a lawyer if you do not read a case from law report from beginning to end. You don't just copy the rationales. You must read it. Currency. Now you must have Law Pavilion or NWLR online. And you must read the cases. And how you socialize. The law firm you attach yourself is not a law firm that after court in the evening, you will just be eating groundnut, cracking jokes, and half of the time is spent by local clients. Sorry to say it. Some people who are sell goro, sell yams, etc. in some farms, they come into the law firm in the evening, and as a lawyer, this is your idea of socialization. After court hours, should be the time for you to conduct research, to draft your processes, etc. When I was young at the bar 1 year, I saw a process, I saw a deed drafted by a lawyer of more than 10 years. The testimonium of a human being given to a company, signed, sealed, and delivered by the within named ABC Limited. You see these mistakes, these things are done in the evening in the law firm. You associate yourself with seasoned lawyers. You meet them in court. They help you, they guide you. And after hours, after court hours, if there's nobody in your firm, you go to another firm. There are law firms that have good libraries. As a lawyer, you must work with library. I don't think library is a problem today. I don't think library, because with your phone, with your subscription to NWLR and Law Pavilion, you will be up to date. There is now the craze of trying to become a senior advocate. Senior advocate is not a joke. We see them ascend 20, 30 years ago. And it must be maintained. Before you are an SAN, you must be grounded in law. Both your spoken and written language must be clear. You don't confuse present and past tense. And just to demonstrate, some of us do not know Bola Ajibola. Please raise your hand as I call the names. Lord Denning, raise your hand if you know him. Lord Atkin, Sir Edward Coke, the Lord Chief Justice. Lord Eldon, Udo Udoma, Adeto Kumbo Ademola, Sir Danley Alexander. Although I know some just refuse to raise their hands, but don't be surprised. A large number of us do not know them. And if you do not know them, it is not history. You must have read the cases. If you are reading textbooks, if you do not read Aguda in your Nigerian law of evidence, you are deficient. If you do not read Sage, you are deficient. If you do not read ABCD, you are deficient. We must tell ourselves the truth. The young lawyers that are coming up, you must read. Your knowledge of law should not depend on handouts or textbooks written by some people, 200-300 pages. You write a book on Nigerian company law. How can that be? Is it possible? If you do not read Olakunle or Rojo, then I don't know the current ones. I'm lost. I'm not. And for you to be independent, the rules of professional conduct in the legal profession states that if you know that you are not capable of conducting a case, you must advise the client to get another lawyer or seek advice of another lawyer. And practically, there has to be a mechanism, although there has to be a mechanism internally within an association to see that lawyers abide by this. Finally, since the NBA has a mentoring system, the MULAN is not different because we are saying one bar. The MULAN should not be parallel to the NBA because we know the ethics. If you are talking about the rules of professional conduct, you hardly see any area where it contradicts with Islamic law. Now, one bar. Whatever NBA is doing, MULAN should contextualize it and not be parallel to it. However, as a young lawyer, what do you want to be? Some will say, I ascribe to become a justice of the Supreme Court, justice of the Court of Appeal, an SAN like Chief Williams. Some will say, one day I would like to be Attorney General of the Federation. Then you will have to go to history and see those who have attained these positions. What have they done during their university days? How many hours were they reading? What were their resources? Look at their notes, how they read, how they live their lives. Office hours, after office hours. If you go to some offices, you find files handled by some that have gone. You read through the files and see their lifestyle. Then follow their footsteps if you want to attain what they have attained. MULAN should have a database so that those aspiring to excel in maritime law should be paired with some in the system. Those aspiring to excel, if you want to be maybe a National Industrial Court judge, your practice shall not be restricted to going to area courts. or charge and bail. I hope you get my idea. If you want to be a Qadi of the Sharia Court of Appeal, your LLB is not enough. If you cannot speak Arabic, you can never understand Islamic law. What is taught is just shabby. So the mentoring, you have to look inward, and institutionally, MULAN should have a database and then pair people as these competencies require, and I wish all of us the best. Thank you very much. It is good that we have realized our deficiency and we are trying to rectify. Thank you very much for the time and opportunity.
Really appreciate this, your very warm and detailed insights and admonitions. We appreciate that. Justice Nyako, do you have any additional thoughts? 1 minute.
Thank you. I'd like to make a comment on the FCT High Court staff that made a comment about the women that do not want to join maybe the magistracy and the rest. To my mind, one or two things. One, they don't like the restriction that this job entails. Two, some of them now, not because she spoke generally, so it's not just the Muslim women that do not want to go to that place, it's women generally. The other one is, I've said lifestyle. The other one is lifestyle includes dressing. You see, they don't like the restriction. I keep on using the example of a medical doctor. You cannot be a medical doctor and you want to go and operate on somebody and you will not wear the scrubs. It's not possible. So I had the same lecture with when I was mentoring junior lawyers, when I was even still at the ministry. You can't want to be a lawyer and you will not dress in black and you will not wear the wig and go to court. So it's your choice. Nobody is forcing you to do it, but if you decide to do it, then you must conform. So this is partly part of it. And the young lady that was sitting down and greeting everybody, it's not mentoring that is her problem, it's lack of upbringing. That is her major problem, not mentoring. If you were properly brought up, you know that when an elder is speaking to you, stand up. In fact, in our own days, you don't stand up, you kneel down. When an elder is talking to you, if you are sitting in your house, everybody is sitting on the chair and jumping. Once you have visitors, you all go back to the floor. It's all a matter of upbringing. And like I said, this Gen Z, they have a problem. So we still need to continue to talk to them. Yes, it is your right, but where your right ends, another person's right begins. It's the same thing I was telling the young ladies because of their mode of dressing. It is my right, it is my body. I can dress anyhow. What of my eyes that are looking at you? My eyes don't have right not to see rubbish. So these are part of the things that we need to be very careful about. In my court is actually open to mentoring. I'm sure my legal assistant will attest to that. We don't have, you see, everybody who wants to aspire to work needs some patents. It's a reality. If you want to go and be mentored, you still need to be given something. A lot of people are managing themselves. If you come to my court, you want me to mentor, you are free to come. But I don't have anything to give you. I'm just managing the salary. Thank God for the new increments. You know, I tell everybody that I'm a millionaire now because my salary is in a million. But it's not enough. It's not enough to maintain. That's reality. But in my court, my legal assistant will attest to it. We do mentor. We allow you to come in. We allow you to interact with our staff. And I even lecture. You know, periodically I call you in or I come out, especially when we have law students. I always talk to them almost on a daily basis once the court rises. I come back in and we discuss issues and we mentor. These are the kind of things. You don't have to have anything. If you are waiting for structured mentoring, then you'll be waiting for a long time. Mentor as it comes. So that is my advice.
Okay, thank you very much. Really appreciate these contributions. And I think we can now close the session. It's almost 1:35. I think it has been a very wonderful session, and I'm glad that MULAN put this as a first session, even though I know there are many interesting other engagements and programs. But this is critical in terms of the progression of the profession. We're having a serious bulge in terms of professional intake. Yesterday I was discussing with one of my colleagues at the better benches, and I'm told that this year alone we have admitted 11,000 new lawyers. That this is not a small number, and it really poses a lot of challenges for the legal profession. So that's why the discussion is very appropriate and very apt, and I'm happy it has been, the background has been set by the very good speeches that have been given by Emir Abubakar, His Excellency, by the chairman of MULAN FCT, and also Professor Ali. They've all said many things. Some of the key takeaways, one, we need proper mentoring. And MULAN can do a lot, and we as individual lawyers can do a lot as senior colleagues. Please let us make it a responsibility to mentor younger ones. I would prefer structured mentorship, but even ad hoc mentorship is probably very good. Identify role models and try to aspire to be like them or surpass what they have achieved. A lot of the contributions, unless we demonstrate these qualities. The one thing that I would like to also close on is discouraging what I call sense of entitlement sometimes you see on the part of younger people. A lot of them sit back, fold their arms, and feel that simply because they label themselves young lawyers, therefore they're entitled to certain things. I don't think this is what we're talking about. And then you can demand your right back and just their knowledge of how to use a law library. And you'll be surprised. Even at the law school, they don't know how to use a law library. They don't know how to do research. And all of these Halsbury's laws of England, corpus juris secundum that you talked about, some of them have never heard of them. So really, going to the library, burying yourself in all of these, endeavors is very important. It's part of the quality of a good lawyer. So please take this up seriously. My Lord, thank you very much for all the useful insights you've given to us from your wealth of experience, and also bring in the feminine perspective, some of which we sometimes gloss over, and really very grateful that you participated in this. And I hope that our female lawyers will feel encouraged to navigate this terrain. Running a home, running professional life is sometimes not easy to balance, but I think Justice Yako and a host of others have done this very successfully. So we still look up to you, and we wish you more successes in your respective careers. Thanks to all our contributors from the audience and to others who have listened. We hope each one and every one of you would have taken something away from this session. And thanks finally to MULAN, his local chapter chair, and the planning committee for a very well organized program. I'm sure there are rooms for improvement. One of the rooms I saw, and I was talking to the MULAN chair, was how can we have a program that doesn't show timing for the various sessions? I think that was an oversight. I hope we will be more thorough in our own preparations in the future. So thank you. God bless. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We thank the chairman and members of the panel. If you are inspired by this session, please say aye. If you are not inspired, say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you. So let me at this point invite His Excellency M.A. Abubakar to kindly come forward for the presentation of the souvenirs. So His Excellency will be presenting a plaque to the chairman and to our keynote speaker. So let me also invite Professor Mubarak Adekilekun, representing Professor Yusuf Ali, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, to kindly come forward. Thank you. Come back, please.
Assalamu alaikum. It's my honor and privilege to, on behalf of Muslim Lawyers Association of Nigeria, FCT Abuja branch, present the award of appreciation to Professor Yusuf Olaolu Ali, SA and Life Bencher, Uliangeri of Ilori, in appreciation of your impactful participation and keynote presentation at MULAN FCT Law Week 2025, themed One Ummah, One Bar. May I, on behalf of the Muslim Lawyers Association of Nigeria, FCT Abuja branch, present this award of appreciation to A.B. Mahmoud SAN, OON, Life Bencher, in appreciation of your resourceful presentation and impactful participation as chairman. 20 panel discussion. Legal minds.
Takbir. Muhammad Rasulullah. Thank you. Thank you very much, His Excellency. Thank you, sir. So let me also invite Mustafa Adekola, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, to kindly come forward to present the souvenirs to our other panelists.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. This is not the time for me to speak, but I will just say one or two words. The first one is a lesson to particularly my generation, not even the young lawyers. What His Excellency has done, in fact, to me, is breaking the cloud. Most of our generation these days will not agree to even participate at MULAN function. How much less to come and cheer the weak. Your Excellency, may you live long, sir. We have learned so much from you. You have inspired us. I can assure you, sir, that with what you have done, that we have all seen here, all of us will have a good take home. To my Lord, when we started MULAN, she was one of the judges we met in FCT. And that was the first experience I had with her in the early 2000s. And here she is with us today. We thank you, sir. We pray Almighty Allah to continue to strengthen you, grant you good health. We have also learned so much from your, you have also shared so much from your experience that you have shared with us today. We can only continue to encourage our younger ones to learn from my Lord and those of them who are here to speak to us today on this forum. I have therefore have the honor to present this award to your lordship. It is an award of appreciation to Honorable Justice Binta Iyako on behalf of the MULAN, that is Muslim Lawyers Association of Nigeria Abuja branch. My lord, we appreciate you, sir.
Takbir, Muhammad Rasulullah.
May I invite Honorable Kadi Ibrahim Barkindo. Assalamu alaikum, sir. On behalf of the Muslim Lawyers Association of Nigeria FCT Abuja branch, it is my singular privilege to present this award of appreciation to you for your beautiful presentation at this MULAN conference. And I say, Jazakumullah Khairan. May I invite Brother Najib Waziri. He's the son of one of our own. I don't know how many of you will know him. No, you see, one good turn deserves another. Your Excellency, you recall when in those days when we used to host Ramadan iftar, your lordship will, my lord, I mean, your Excellency will recall. Tell my friend that I said so, and that we're expecting him to host us again this year. I will not say more than that. On behalf of the Muslim Lawyers Association of Nigeria, I humbly present this award of appreciation to Najib Waziri in appreciation of your resourceful presentation and impactful participation as a panelist by the MULAN at the MULAN Week 2025. Congratulations.
Assalamu alaikum. May I, on behalf of MULAN FCT branch, present for participating and effectively to this last session. behalf of MULAN FCT branch, present this to Saad Bunza for bravely participating in and contributing effectively in today's session. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. So, thank you very much. We're very grateful to all who have participated. So let me at this point recognize our speaker for the next session, who just joined us, in person of Honorable Justice Mainasara Umaru Kogo, his chairman, Code of Conduct Tribunal. We're happy to have you in our midst. Takbir, Muhammad Rasulullah. So before we move to the next item, let me invite the 7-member planning committee of MULAN Week and all senior advocates of Nigeria here present to kindly come forward for a photo session with members of this panel. Please, members of the planning committee and all senior advocates of Nigeria here present, kindly come forward for this photo session. So the chairman of MULAN Planning Week, His Excellency, has requested that I crave your indulgence to kindly stay behind after this photo session so that we can take the next lecture immediately, and that by 2:30 or thereabout, inshallah, we'll proceed for Salatul Zuhr and our lunch, and then we close for today. It is a bit difficult, but he has asked me to please crave your indulgence. The chairman is already seated. So please, let's have our seats. The next session is a presentation on the topic Technology and Elections in Nigeria, examining the Electoral Act and the legal realities of technology-driven election. And the speaker is none other than Honorable Justice Mainasara Umaru Kogo. He is the chairman, Code of Conduct Tribunal. May I most humbly invite him to come forward for his presentation. But please, as a mark of honor and respect for our presenter, may I kindly request that we have our seats and pay rapt attention to the presentation. Please, let's have our seats and listen to his presentation. You're welcome, sir. Thank
you. The master of the ceremony, it's been a long day, and people will naturally want to stress their nerves. I think in that context, I will try to, I don't know what is the duration of the time. Okay, within the ambience of modesty, I will be very, very brief. Yes. Okay. Your Excellency is seated here. My laws, justices, spiritual and temporal. The leadership of the MULAN My dear brothers, the members, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. I would like to begin by appreciating the kind consideration of these organizers to extend the invitation to my humble self to come and partake in this discourse. The most interesting thing about appearance in public discourse is that when you appear before intellectuals, the greater number of which are more informed than you, then it will benefit you as you are delivering your paper. You are equally getting enriched intellectually by the number of questions, comments, and contributions you get there. Now, MULAN is one of the most fundamental jurisprudential or professional evolutions we have witnessed in recent decades. Because whereas some institutions offered courses on common law, some on Islamic law, and so on and so forth, MULAN is the umbrella of all the Muslim lawyers, and by extension, all the Muslim judicial officers of superior courts of records, because you must prima facie become a lawyer before you can become a judge. And Islam is not just a religion, but is the only way of life. It's a way of life that mediates your relationship with your fellow human beings, your relationship with the adherents of your religion, your relationship with those that are not adherents of your religion, including your relationship with environment. Islam has covered everything. So it is in that context, MULAN becomes a critical stakeholder in the dispensation of justice in Nigeria. Now, regarding the theme given to me, technology and elections in Nigeria, examining the Electoral Act and the legal realities of technology-driven elections. Because of the time constraint, I will not go into the details of the Electoral Act, but everybody knows that periodically we have laws and regulations aimed at regulating with a view to improving the quality and the standard of our electioneering process in Nigeria. His Excellency, our President, the Leonard Silk, M.A. Abubakar, is a testimonial to the efficacy or otherwise of our electoral system in his capacity as one of the most excellent executive governors we have recorded in our recent years. The fundamental imports of the last Electoral Act, which is the current one, is transmission of election results, introduction of beavers, accreditation of post-election matters, the issue of arrests and detention of electoral offenders, the issue of determination of pre-election or post-election matters, which our jurisprudential provisions have adequately taken care of that, in that anything that is pre-election is normally considered as something before the primary elections and should go to the normal courts of records. And anything from the election time up to the declaration of results within the ambience of the limitation of time given should go to the election petition tribunals. Now, in this context, we have seen election and we are midway towards conduct of another election. Next year, by this time, we will be in a very delicate era of electoral fuse when our politicians would be doing whatever they can, either to succeed in getting themselves back on seat or to succeed in removing the one on seat with a view to getting themselves in power, or with a view to appointing their surrogates to be the ones that will serve as the ones in power. Now, it is therefore timely that we should review the Electoral Act provisions with a view of bringing in some suggestions. Number one, what is the legal validity of technology-added processes? Up to this moment, our judicature has not sanctioned the validity in concrete terms of electoral process or technologically driven process in conduct of elections. And it is in this context that the electoral umpire decided to be controverting some of the provisions. Because whereas Section 148 of the Electoral Act has given the power to the electoral umpire to introduce strategies, systems, and processes that will guarantee just, fair, balanced, and acceptable election results. But on its own discretion, it brought and nationally approved the provision of Section 60, which is the one that has given provision for transmission of election results. Now, what did we witness in the last election? Did we witness absolute transmission of election results or not? What we witnessed was announcements of collated results. Announcement of collated results. If you want electoral transmission of results, then you should make it in such a way that from the polling booth, once you discharge your franchise by voting, it should automatically be transmitted to the collation center. That is what I believe by transmission of or determination of election results by electoral proxies. In this context, I would like to suggest a very good model that will strategize or strategically reposition Nigeria as a leader of democratic countries in Africa and probably in the entire third world countries. It is a system that is very seamless. It is a system that will reduce a lot of technical problems we are having. For example, the voters' cards that we are having. I have made attempts of over 16 times. Up to now, I have not gotten my voter's card. I have made attempt up to 16 times. Where is Lawrence? You are a witness to that. I made all attempts. At times, you will get captured when you go to collect the result, the voter's card. It proves very, very difficult. And at times, even the electronic devices reject voters' cards. Now, in this type of thing, what do we do? Do we continue that way? My suggestion is that we should discard the use of voters' card completely. Somebody will say, how comes? On election day, discard the use of voters' card, discard the use of voters' register. All you need to do is recognize the natural thing God Almighty has given us, which is this, your thumbprint. On election day, a portal like this, don't close any border. Don't restrict any movement. Announce that elections at the local government level, state assembly, governor level, House of Representatives, National Assembly, and the President, all the elections should take place one day. And the elections should take place within the hours of 10 to 12 only. 10 a.m. to 12 only. Provide as many voting centers as possible. At the voting centers, provide panels where you will come and use your thumbprint only and go away. If you like thumbprint 1,000 times, the moment you thumbprint beyond 1 time, it should automatically invalidate your votes. Have it like that. Let it be a solar-powered panel, not electricity-generated device. Solar-powered panel, because there is abundance of sunshine everywhere in Nigeria. Put it there, and then connect it through the waves with the central collation center at the ward level, at the local government level, at the state level, and at the federal level. At the federal level, you can make somewhere like Eagle Square or anywhere to be where the board will be. And then you fortify security around all these boards. the board at the federal, the board at the state, the board at the ward, the board at the local government, fortify security. Once you come and use your thumbprint and thumb, it automatically increases the number of votes regarding the particular one you have voted, whether it's councillorship box, whether it's local government chairman box, whether it's state assembly box, whether it's House of Representative box, or the governor's box, or the president box. Once you thumbprint on all of the specified places at the panel, once you thumbprint, you go away. No need for you to waste money in printing ballot papers. No need for you to waste money in printing voters' cards. No need for you to print money in printing voters' register. The moment it is 12 o'clock, automatically elections are over and the results are automatically transmitted there and you can see it everywhere. If we introduce this system, politicians will naturally not be interested in it because it will block the ambience of the opportunities for them to rig. But by the time you do that one, even the electoral umpire, INEC, would not likely be interested in this because it will block the ambience of the humongous billions they are imputing in the appropriations for the conduct of elections. The moment you do that one, election results are there. Even our lawyers will be interested because it will retire so many of them that are waiting for only election-related briefs. So many of them will be retired because there is no need for you to contest. The results are there, your agents are there, and automatically it is just a matter of computerizing the records of the votes at the polling level, at the ward level, at the zonal level, at whatever level, to give you ultimately the figure, which is electronically transmitted there. So this is my suggestion. If we can do that one, it will save us time. It will save us the period it will take in announcing results. Because at times, it will take 2, 3, or 4 days. Because of the topographical differences of the nature of Nigeria. In some places, you have to use canoe to cross over rivers. In places, you have to cross over mountains and rocks. In places, you have to go through a very area of different terrain. And more, very importantly, in this present era of difficulty in insecurity, how safe are the ballot boxes that you will go and stamp with papers and say that you want to cross over 7 or 14 local governments before you reach your state capital? And it will prevent incidents of ballot box snatching, because even at the last election we saw incidents of ballot box snatching. That is things are going to automatically be minimized or completely eradicated when we are really serious about it. Up to this moment that I'm talking, INEC does not have standard election register up to now. And up to this moment that we are talking about, INEC has found it difficult to break down the number of political parties to a reasonable sense. In a situation whereby, simply because by virtue of the power given to you under Section 148 to make regulations, INEC decide to create about 90 or so political parties. This is very, very wrong. It is seriously confusing to an average illiterate Nigerian for you on election day to cut a ballot paper that is equivalent to the size of our prayer mat to say he should go and look at the different logos there. Some of them cannot see any distinction between a logo that is a picture of a peacock head and a picture of a guinea fowl head. Some of them cannot know the difference. So you give them the distinction, and then at the end you say any ballot paper that is not stamped on the correct area, it automatically gets invalidated. Incidents of invalidation of ballot papers will equally be eradicated completely by the time you introduce the technology I'm suggesting. Another thing is that if we are serious about conduct of elections, it is high time we bring about election offenses court. We must bring about a very, very standard court that will be dealing with election matters. Everybody in Nigeria knows that the judicial system we are operating, is giving a lot of rooms for you to maneuver, especially if you have money. How many poor men get the resource endowment to be able to hire the most sophisticated senior advocates to go and argue cases for them? How many? And again, besides that, under Section 36, especially subsection 5 of the Constitution, it is clearly said that no matter how big is your offense, no matter how big, you are adjoined to be only an accused person until adequately convicted by a competent court of law. Now, if you say you go by that, that is the reason why committing an offense will not stop you from getting sworn in, and then you will be sworn in, you get into the office, you use the office paraphernalia and the office resources to continue financing your litigation there, to the detriment of the person that is not declared the winner. So these kind of things should immediately be stopped. We should have a situation whereby once election is concluded, there should be time-bound limitation within which the court must deliver judgment before the swearing in of whosoever is a perceived winner of that election. Another thing that is very, very important is that we should bring about legislation whereby anybody that is on seat 2 months before election, you should allow your deputy to be on the seat. It is wrong for you to be on the seat and at the same time to be the one superintending election in your own territory. It is very, very wrong. We should work out this thing. If you are the president, then you should allow the Chief Justice of the Federation to preside in the interim period of the election. But the Chief Justice, for the purpose of record of service, should not be recorded as one of the former presidents in Nigeria's history. That should be entrenched. The same thing at the level of the state level, the same thing at all levels. We should not allow somebody who is on seat, enjoying the bamboozle siren, enjoying all the office amenities, enjoying all the security protection, enjoying the security votes money, enjoying all the appropriation money for his seat, and then at the same time contesting with somebody that doesn't have any avenue of money. So that aspect too should be changed. Another thing equally that I would like to suggest is that there should be a suggestion whereby these courts that I talk about, the Electoral Offences Court, its appeal should only go to the Supreme Court. But the Supreme Court should be prepared to be unbundled if we want Supreme Court to be given us results. The Supreme Court should be unbundled in two contexts. Before my appointment, there was a case I had at the Supreme Court. It took me 24 years of waiting before I could secure a date for the case. Once you file a case, all of you, you know it. It will be very, very difficult within a period of 25 years for you to get a date because of the congestion of cases. The Supreme Court should be sanitized. And the best way to sanitize the Supreme Court is either of the two. Either you make it professionalized Supreme Court. What I mean by professionalized Supreme Court is that all the 24 common law subjects, you should have courtrooms for each of them at the Supreme Court. This is Supreme Court of Constitutional Matters. This is Supreme Court of Criminal Matters. This is Supreme Court of Land Matters. This is Supreme Court of Personal Properties Matters, family and marriage. This is Supreme Court of this and this and this and this. By the time you do that one, it will reduce the tendency of the congestion of cases, so that as the cases are coming, the registrar will be assigning them to the appropriate courts, and the judges are there waiting for the cases to be dispensed on. Once you will get it in that context, then the congestion of cases will be minimized. The second area, if we don't want it that way, is that we should have judicial divisions of the Supreme Court. We should have judicial divisions of the Supreme Court, whereby matters coming from Lagos, the Lagos Judicial Division of the Supreme Court should entertain it. Matters in Abuja, the Abuja Judicial Division of the Supreme Court should entertain it. These are my suggestions regarding how to facilitate speedy dispensation of justice at the Supreme Court level. Another option is that the Election Offences Court can determine matters up to the level of governors and the downward officers. Governors, state assembly, and local government and the rest, the court can try it. While you allow a Supreme Court straight ahead to entertain matters arising from the conduct of elections at the National Assembly and at the presidential elections. If we do it that way too, with time limitation like we have in the Electoral Act of 180 or 90 days respectively, depending on the state of the matter, it will assist. Another area is that we should bring about technological revolution of having decision. We should make a legislation whereby era of handwritten, stereotype handwritten system of taking notes by judges should be over. We should have automated system in all our courts. From the magistrate level upwards, the government should be prepared to fund adequately for entrenchment of valid infrastructure at our courts level, so that automatically as somebody finishes his speech, automatically everything will be recorded there. I saw this type of technology sometimes in one of the Arabian countries, Oman, whereby I delivered a lecture. They asked me that I can deliver the lecture in any language I wish, whether it's in Hausa or Swahili or Arabic. They said, any language you want, you can deliver. I said, what do you mean? They said, the technology is already automated. Anybody that is seated there is just to type the language he wants to hear you. The moment he types, he will hear you. And the moment you finish, they will automatically press print, and whatever you said will be printed out in the language the person likes. So if we can have such type of things, it will go a long way in reducing the red tapeism and bureaucratic bottlenecks associated with our own manual way. Because I have considered the influx of the time for Zuhur prayer now, and the fact that I have discussed with the Master of Ceremony regarding the need for me to be summary and straight to the point, I would like to restrict my humble submission at this level so as to enable me entertain your questions, comments, contributions, and enrichments, including criticisms is possible. I appreciate you for your rapt attention and kind listen. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much for this wonderful lecture. And I'm sure we have all benefited from what we have heard. So at this point is to take questions and give answers. So if you have any question, please get one mic. So let me request you, sir, to sit down while they ask questions, and perhaps you take them down, and then you come back to answer the questions. Okay, so please, can you help me pass the mic? Yes. So please start by introducing yourself and then your question.
Okay, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
My name is Kura Mohammed Tuku from TN Kura Solicitors. It's my honor and privilege to stand here. I agree with the presentation by the learned senior. What he have said, justice. His lordship, apologies, I've been out of practice for close to 11 years. I was in the United Nations, but I'm happy I'm back into practice to contribute my quota and to learn from his lordship. I agree with you. We need an overhaul change, a radical change in our system. Of course, we're discussing with my friend here about having different divisions of the Supreme Court, first. Secondly, we as lawyers or as organizations or associations, there's need for us to be very steadfast, to be agent of changes, not criticizing the change alone. And again, we need to stand for what is right to ensure that the younger lawyers are properly groomed so that we don't have a situation whereby a young lawyer that just came out of university was not able to stand up and greet a senior colleague who have spent virtually all his life making positive changes, making impactful changes. Thank you very much. I don't want to take too much of our time, but I stand with what you have, the presentation you have made, especially when we that we have gone through different countries and we have seen their system. You know, I think we have a lot to do, and we can do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next.
Thank you very much. My name is Muhammad Bawaje. I have to appreciate my Lord for this very insightful presentation. At a point, I was asking myself whether my Lord was one time the INEC chairman for him to be able to identify all the loopholes and how they can be addressed using technology. And my comment, I have a comment, and then I will also ask a question at the end of it. The comment is in respect of our election conduct. Sometimes I don't know whether we are completely fair to INEC in putting all the blames at INEC. Although we have to recognize the fact that they are saddled with the responsibility of conducting the election. But if you look at the most important event in our electoral process, which is the election day, no single INEC staff is involved in election process on the election day. It is the Nigerians that are involved in that process. From the electoral officer, who is usually a youth corps member, to the, what do you call them, up to the collation officer, none of them is an INEC staff. They are members of the society, just like you and I, that were selected to oversee that process, and they continue to fail Nigeria in that regard. So it's not entirely fair to always blame the INEC on that regard. We should blame ourselves because we are involved in the process. And some of these people are even university professors that ordinarily should live above all. My question, sir, is in respect of adoption of technology to better our election. I know technology solves a lot of problems, but there is always a human being behind that technology, controlling what the technology gives and how it operates. If an election if a country as powerful as United States of America, there will be an allegation of manipulating election results during the Trump last election where he failed, and there was an issue of Russian intervention in that election to determine the results of that election. So if, with all the sophistication of United States of America, that allegation will be there, how sure are we, looking at our nature, Nigerians, to ensure that that technology is allowed to operate as it should be. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Can we now take from the middle row? Anybody with a question? Okay, just one, and then we take one last one here, and we allow the presenter to answer.
Thank you, Your Lordship, for the insightful and thought-provoking presentation. My name is Ahmad Bello Dogarawa. I'm not a lawyer. I'm from accounting. My question is election procedure. There is a divergent opinion regarding the need to conduct election on and splitting it in 2 days into two non. One of the arguments is conducting election throughout Nigeria in a single day may lead to public arrest and anarchy, bands of suspicion, electoral malpractices or election malpractices, rigging and the rest of it, because at that point, nerves to be flocked into an. So if the election is splitted into two, at least even if a segment of the country is not happy with the first election, at least there will be opportunity within the 7 days or 2 weeks grace period, nerves will be calmed and at least order will be restored. But if it is conducted on just a single day and where there is strong suspicion of election malpractice, rigging and the rest of it, the country may be flung into disarray, anarchy and the rest of it. Your Lordship, what is your take on this? Secondly, considering the ongoing constitutional amendments, there is also a call that the electoral order, that the Constitution should be, the section bordering on election should reduce the discussion on election matters. Everything about election should go to the Electoral Act, whereas the Constitution should just make a passive mention of electoral issues, so that at least the Constitution should not be overburdened with election matters. Related to that is also another call that why don't we amend the Constitution to allow for all election-related matters to be settled before the day of before the date of swearing in, so that all electoral matters will be settled before then. Because as you rightly pointed out, if you have a sitting governor and he has a litigation and for a chance that is his second tenure, he will do everything humanly possible to make sure that he win the court case. So is there a need, in your own opinion, for this call to continue? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Standing on the existing protocol, Hamid Ajibola Jima is my name. I've looked at the topic, and yes, talking about technology and elections in Nigeria, examining the Electoral Act and the legal realities of technology driving elections. For me, it shows that there is an issue as regards the technology driving election in Nigeria, but I do not see technology being our issue, the issue being human issue, because technology is programmed. So it's all about the human that is placed to be in charge of the technology. So I feel that there is need for us to have a study on the reason why we have been having election malpractices, and also to study some of our fears in relation to this use of technology in election. I wish to ask two questions under this view. And one is that, is it not possible for MULAN, for instance, to set up a committee to understudy some of the challenges posed by technology-driven elections we have had in Nigeria so far? Also, in relation to election petition matters, I believe that it should not be an issue for MULAN too, if it is possible, to set up a committee to draw out some of these salient areas in election petition matters and then share it around members so that members can also learn. I believe in all this, if we could place blockages around some of these fears or causes of fears, then I don't see any problem in having a technology-driven election, because it makes it simpler, easier, and even accommodating for the general populace. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So one last question from the last row. Any question? Okay, so if there's no question, let's allow the presenter to answer the questions.
Thank you very much. First of all, Noura Mohammed Duku, you are welcome back to the country from the United States. And I thank you for adumbrating all I said. I thank you very much for that. Mohammed Bawa, election conduct in all the process, that none of the INEC officers is involved but we citizens. I think this tallies with the submission of the last person, Hamid, when he says it is more attitudinal. It is more of our character. I do agree with you in this submission. But however, I would like to say one thing. Under sections 221 to 227 of the Constitution, where you are talking about the fundamental functions of political system generally, the political parties are having responsibilities for education of the citizenry, educating the electors. The political parties are having that responsibility. INEC is having that responsibility. The National Orientation Agency and other governmental agencies, especially ministries of information, are saddled with these responsibilities. The reason why you see all that is because there is inadequacy of political education, inadequacy of electoral literature among the citizenry. People are ignorant about what is called civic responsibility. Greater number of people trooping in to go and do ballot cards, ballot papers, are going there to have it as means of identification, not that they have the patriotic interest of going to vote on election day. And that is the reason why you see gap and disparity between the number of registered voters and the actual number of votes cast in any constituency in Nigeria. And anybody you see there in the polling booth, carefully look at them. Their interest is how much will they get at the end of the exercise. So many of them are submitting themselves, presenting themselves to serve as ad hoc officials because of the allowances it embedded, not because of the patriotic interest that let me come and do it as a service to the nation. So until we change the mindset and the orientation of Nigerians, average Nigerian doesn't believe in Nigeria. If you are doubting that, get, for example, the Constitution of Nigeria, place it here. Get the Constitution of Nigeria. Fill up one Ghana must go back with the Constitution of Nigeria. And then fill up one Ghana must go back with envelopes containing 10,000 naira only. and ask people to queue and be picking one. I don't need to tell you which of the two bags will drain down first. So the patriotism is not there. And the political system generally is poor when it comes to issue of electoral education. That is it. The third one is that how safe against manipulation is the election technology. The best way to ensure electoral transparency is to get all the stakeholders involved. If you get all the stakeholders involved, it will solve problems of electoral accusations. Peg down the number of political parties to only 33. If you peg down the number to only 33, all you want to do is simple. Ask each of the 33 political parties to give you two persons to represent those political parties. 33 times 2 will give you 66 number. The 66 number you have, 36 states in Nigeria and the FCT making 37. Let this 37 number have a ballot box like this. Put envelopes mentioning names of the 37 states in an envelope, in each envelope, and put in the basket. You have 37 there. INEC electoral officers. At the headquarters, you have commissioners of INEC. I think they are 15 or 17 in number. Put that same number in the same basket. Put one envelope inside it, INEC chairman. One envelope inside it, INEC secretary. One envelope inside it, chairman of Conference of Political Parties. Put that up to the number of 66. Mix it up, mix it up, mix it up. Ask all the representative 66 to queue. Let them pick one envelope. With the Registrar of the Supreme Court and the Inspector General of Police standing here. Whatever is open in that envelope, that is your destined position, right there. So at the end of it, you'll discover that from among the political parties, you have the INEC chairman, you have the INEC secretary, you have the INEC everybody, and you have the state electoral officers. By the time you do that one, the incidence of bias to say that the government in power is the one that has appointed INEC chairman or commissioners. Some of them, even there are accusations that they are card-carrying members of the ruling party, will be eliminated. Because that number that you see are given by the leadership of the various parties. There will be harmony. They will accept whatever is the outcome, because it's clearly their products. Now, in going to whichever company that will manufacture this solar-powered election machine, let representatives of all and sundry go together. They discuss there, they negotiate there, they agree, they certified and signed that whatever is the outcome of this is acceptable by us, and then make it a point of law. At the end of it, if the election is conducted with that technology, nobody will challenge it among the political class, and they will embrace it as their product. The next one is, Alaji Dogara here asks, that INEC should split elections within the period of 2-3 days or within weeks. I don't know between myself and my brother who is older. In those days when I was young, Your Excellency, I was a presiding officer in the Second Republic. I presided over conduct of election. We were among the ad hoc staff then. That time, all the elections were conducted same day. The 1963 elections, the 1959 elections, the 1960 elections, all of them, like I said, up to 1979 and 1983 elections, all those elections were conducted same day. And that is the reason why in the history of election records, we always talk about the good old days. Those days we were having elections same day. But now where you now decide that elections should be staggered, and then deliberately you make the president and the governor's elections to be at the last, and on their territory, in their soil, and they are the ones to approve the budgetary provisions for the conduct of the elections. It is very, very difficult to have manifest justice in play in that context. And that is the reason why if you are not anointed by your governor, Santulaki, you know the case study in your Nasarawa state, what is happening. You must be an anointed candidate of the governor for you to win some elections. And that is cascading down to the quality of the governance we are seeing. And that is the reason why state assembly members, they cannot take any decision against the governors. Even so shameful, so disgraceful, the National Assembly amended the act to give them autonomy. They unanimously said that we don't want the autonomy because it's against the interests of governors. So, one of the ways to solve problems of godfatherism in our electoral processes is to be conducting elections same day, so that when the governor is facing his sweat, the councillor is equally trying to slug it out with his constituency. The next is that all electoral matters should be handled before swearing in day. I support you 100%. I support you 100%. It is crass injustice, not gross, crass injustice for you to allow somebody with questionable decision and then to continue. In the last election, everybody saw there were incidents whereby people that did not contest for even primaries, at the end they were declared winners. And they are the shakers and the molders of our democracy in Nigeria today. So it is very, very important that electoral matters should be dispensed with, but they cannot be dispensed with until they are given the teaching of the law. There should be law to clearly say that this is a time-bound limitation. Hamid, you talk about believe that our problem is more human attitude rather than technology. I think we agreed on that. We agreed by the first submission we made. Then we said and that should stand. That should start by the composition of INEC itself. The ruling party should not be the one to be appointing INEC officers. The political parties are the stakeholders. They should be allowed to partake and contribute regarding how the umpire should be. The last question is MULAN to set up a committee to work out position paper on this. Yes, I think I expect at the end of this well-blessed, very important summit, we are going to have a communique. That communique should be the springboard upon which the decision. And I think on that note, I would like to tender an apology. In all honesty, I would have performed more wonderfully if I had known that I am to speak on this topic. It is already when I'm seated here that the topic was talked to me about. I never had the knowledge that I will come and talk on electoral matters. I would just talk on bar activities vis-a-vis MULAN. Then they said, no, there is a topic you have to speak on. They showed me the topic. I'm ignorant of that aspect, and it's my fault. When the invitation came, immediately I saw MULAN and I saw His Excellency. I said, approved. No matter what, I must attend this one. And I never came back to the paper up to this moment. Then I said they should write a reply that I would be coming. They did not draw my attention to the details of the topic, but by God's grace, I will work out a paper, a competent paper that I can call a standard paper based on this theme or any other one you want to modify, and I will present it with adequate copies through the Secretariat by God's grace. I thank you for considering me worthy to come and ventilate my own professional opinion with you, and even myself, I got seriously enriched with your submissions. I thank you very much. May God bless us all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Sir, please, just a minute before you leave. Thank you very much for those wonderful answers you gave to the questions. If you have benefited from what Doctor has presented, please say aye. If you have not benefited, please say nay. Doctor, the ayes have it. Thank you very much. May I once again invite the Chairman MULAN Planning Week to kindly come forward and present our plaque to our presenter.
That was the beginning. And then Chief Rotimi Williams of blessed memory with Justice Atanda Fatai Williams. I spoke to them. I said, I'm the chairman of the Students' Council, but there is no accommodation provision at the law school. I was sleeping in one abandoned toilet. I got some empty cartons of this thing I put, because I grew up as an orphan from a very poor background. I used to go to the law school on grain stroke or train stroke carrying animals. So I said, I am opportune to have this place because I am a leader of the students in the law school. There are several people, some of them were sleeping under a bridge. Not just northerners. One of them is distinguished Senator Jimo Ibrahim. I know the squalor living he was living then, he was my friend. At the end, I proposed decentralization of the law school. That pinched me against the authorities. They said, no, the schools cannot be decentralized. But then Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Mohammed Bello, with Rotimi Williams, Justice Atanda Fatai Williams, and some other people supported me. But Kayede Esho and some other people said, no, let's build hostels within the premises at Victoria Island. Hostels were built, but eventually that seed of protest I planted germinated into the campuses we have of the law school in Nigeria today. And apart from that, we said that we should have establishment of Muslim Lawyers Association. Somebody criticized and said I cannot be the one to lead it, since I didn't come from the extraction of Islamic law students. But whatever is it, today we are celebrating it under His Excellency. So the point I'm making is that anything you see worthy of changing, change it at that time and move ahead. On the day I was to be sworn in, some of them saw the drama that ensued there. I said, nobody can swear me in with the Holy Quran. Nobody. They came with the heavy bag. I said, no, you cannot swear me. At the age of 10, I know the A to Z of it. I know the burden on it. And I know whatever you will swear me in before leaving this premises, there is the tendency of me to break it. So I cannot take this moral burden. They now change it with the constitution. I said that is even worse. Because section 10 of the constitution says there is no state religion. So which means I have denounced my own religion by accepting to be sworn in with that. So after a series of arguments at the end, I had to get a piece of paper, write the wordings I want, and on that basis I was sworn in. There are many, many things that had to be changed. One of them, I told them, when you come, you shouldn't be calling me my lord. Just call me my brother or honorable judge. That's all. I'm not your lord. And there is no necessity coming before me where we can come. I don't want to elucidate on my reasons for all those things. At the correct time, we'll talk on that. But for now, I'm filled with the emotions that part of something that I'm in the hand of molding the brick is now a home of happiness, a home of tranquility, a home of peace, and a home of common brotherhood we are celebrating today. Therefore, thank you most respectfully for this award, and I will remain, whenever I look at it, to remember that I will be an ambassador of MULAN for life wherever I go, and I will remain a member. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you very much. So please photograph with the chairman, MULAN, and chairman, MULAN Week Planning Committee. So while the photograph session is ongoing, please listen to the following announcements. The next session of the MULAN Week will hold tomorrow, commencing at 9:30 a.m. with the topic, Islamic Financial Institutions and Economic Development in Nigeria, the contributions of banks, sukuk, and takaful. It's to be chaired by Sheikh Professor Abdulrazak Abdul Majid Alaro, MNI. And we have on that panel, Sheikh Professor Ahmad Bello Dogarawa, who is here with us today, Mala Tahiru Machido, and Ummahani Ahmad Amin. So we please encourage each and every one of us to please come on time, and please let us also encourage those who are not here to also come for the morning program. And we have another session tomorrow after that with the theme, Lines of Lineage in the Lab. And after that session, which shall round up just before Jumat, in the evening tomorrow, we'll have Quranic competition, Musabaka, at the Anur Masjid at Wuse 2 after Asr prayer. So we encourage each and every one of us to also attend. And on Saturday, inshallah, in the morning at 7 p.m., we shall have our health talk and walk, aerobics, football match, and badminton competition at the Mark Clubhouse Eatery, Burundi Street, Wuse Zone 5. So please let us also take notes and come out en masse. And to cap the week, A-Class Event Center on Saturday at 7 p.m. So please let us take note of all of these. And please, the dinner event is strictly by invitation. You have to pay a token. The link is available on our WhatsApp platform. So please ensure you register to attend. You can also register and come to the dinner with them. And lastly is to thank each and every one of us for making out time to attend today's session. And we hope that you have all benefited from all that has been presented here today. It is our prayer that Allah will reward each and every one of us abundantly, and that our participating in today's session will count for us before Allah in this world and in the worlds to come. We thank you all, and we look forward to welcoming you again tomorrow morning for another session. Thank you all. We also thank all of our sponsors who have donated in kind and cash, those who have contributed in kind and cash. We thank you all. Without you, this program wouldn't have been this successful. And we pray that may Allah continue to bless you and replenish your pockets. For the walk too, there is a t-shirt and a cap, and it cost 10,000 naira. Inshallah, tomorrow, for those who have paid, your shirts and your tea and your caps will be given to you. So we thank you all. Enjoy your meal, and please, we can also say our salat before we leave. Thank you all, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Takbir. Muhammad Rasulullah.